The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Free agency continues. Let's break down what the Jets have done, or really what they haven't done. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
Man, our Jets are primed to win another offseason, baby. Jets green each and every day. Will the playoff drought finally end? Kings of the offseason, baby. This is what we do. At least we have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinn Williams. Prepare to be underdogs. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go. Show number 2 on the day. We'll be joined by Jets beat reporter Nick Faria in a few minutes. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Joe Beningo was on with us earlier today, and, well, he wasn't exactly very positive about the Jets, and I've seen a lot of blowback towards Joe for that, and to that I say, can you blame him? This regime deserves no benefit of the doubt. This ownership deserves no benefit of the doubt. Win games. Prove us wrong. You have a first-year head coach, first-year general manager, first-time play caller, and you seemingly downgraded that quarterback. So to anyone saying Joe's too negative, I disagree. Is there a path for this team to be a lot better than many expect? For sure. The great unknown is how good of a coach Aaron Glenn and his staff is. But anyone, saying, how could you be so negative? This franchise has beaten its fan base down. And those of you who are still optimistic and positive, God bless you. But I think a lot of us just want to see wins, see results, and we'll go from there. For what it's worth, the Jets did officially make the Aaron Rodgers release official. So Rodgers is no longer a Jet. It feels like the Vikings maybe are going to get involved, which would be so perfect if he ends up going there. But it feels like it's Steelers, Giants, and maybe Minnesota now for Aaron Rodgers as he takes his time to decide what he wants to do. The Jets have made a move since the last time I was on the air. They signed edge rusher Rashad Weaver to a 1-year deal. And this is a completely irrelevant signing when the terms of his contract don't even get announced. That's when this guy is basically a practice squad level player that might not even make the team. So one minor deal the Jets have made today here on day 3 of free agency, and Happy New Year to all as the NFL officially has its new league year starting today. It happened at 4 p.m. earlier. All right, joining us right now to talk all things Jets is Jets reporter for Athlon Sports, Nick Faria. Nick, happy Wednesday and Happy New Year.
Happy Wednesday, Happy New Year to everybody. Great time to be around.
So I know you joined in progress. You heard me kind of setting the scene. Really, since the Field signing and the 2 other signings in the secondary on Monday, Jets haven't done much and really haven't done anything besides Rashad Weaver, who, texting with some friends of mine in Houston, basically, if he's on the team, it means your defensive line room's not very good. So I think every Jet fan should be rooting for some more improvements made to that room before having to count on Rashad Weaver.
100%, and you'll be able to get that in the current draft. This draft is going to be extremely talented along the defensive line and at tight end. And you got even some right tackles as well. So just because there are some needs that the Jets have to deal with doesn't mean that they're not going to be addressed, because there's going to be plenty of time to address them.
100%. So, you look at some of the options out there. A guy I was interested in is no longer an option. Levi, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name, but would fill a need. Aaron Glenn guy from Detroit, staying with the Lions, and it's only a 1-year deal for $5.5 million. I look at some of these deals, Nick, and I get it. The Jets aren't going to want to be huge spenders in free agency, but they have cap space, and this seemingly would have fit. I thought Javon Holland would have made a lot of sense for the same deal he ends up signing with the Giants. your thoughts on some of these options here coming off the board. Evan Ingram's another guy who maybe would have made some sense. He signed with Denver earlier. So we're seeing a lot of potential Jet targets sign elsewhere.
Sure, but I also want to be very frank with everyone. You'd ask any legitimate reporter, any legitimate analyst, and almost everyone will tell you the same thing. This free agent class is one of the weaker ones we have seen. You don't want to be the team that overpays for a very weak free agent class. You don't want to be the team that's going all out and spending $50 to $75 million total on certain players for a particular year. You don't want to be doing that, particularly with this draft, with this free agent class. You want to be able to put yourself in a position to be successful in the draft and then move forward and find the value. So to me, I look at free agents that have already signed elsewhere. Are these guys going to be the can't miss? This is how they're going to change the organization for these sort of teams. Javon Kinlaw made $45 million on his deal with the Washington Commanders. Is that a good contract? Of course not. Of course not. You look at Javon Hargrave, took a $30 million deal with the Minnesota Vikings coming off a year where he was battling injuries the entire time. To me, when I look at what the Jets have done in this free agent cycle, and they have done essentially what you can hope for. They have secured the quarterback for 2025. They have secured the secondary. I love the Andre Cisco signing. I think that's an underrated move. I like Brandon Stevens. I'm not saying that he's going to be better or as good as DJ Reed, but he comes in cheaper than DJ Reed and his contract that he got with the Detroit Lions. So that's an upgrade in terms of overall cap value, not in player, not in production, but cap value. So to me, these people that are overreacting to the lack of moves the Jets have made, I think everyone's kind of ignoring the fact that this is an incredibly weak free agent class. And if you are overspending in this kind of class, this is where you put yourself in trouble.
I agree with that. I just think it's fair to say, hey, this guy Levi's a Glenn guy. Why not bring him back or bring him with you? Why not bring Evan Ingram in? You have a huge need at tight end. Why not bring in who was the other name I mentioned that Javon Holland, who would have been a fit, especially 100%. When you signed a safety later. I guess it was before they signed Cisco first, and then Holland signed the next morning. So, look, you can't judge the full body of work until we get through the full body of work of free agency. But I understand why there are some out there who are thinking, man, like some of these deals aren't that crazy. Why not get involved if it fills a need?
There's a lot of deals that are kind of just going off the rails.
For sure. Javon Kinlaw got $30 million guaranteed.
It's been 3 days and I still can't believe what the hell was going on. But free agency, we kind of learned that last year too, where just because a free agent class looks a certain way doesn't mean that that's going to continue. You look at Mike Williams. He was released along with Keenan Allen. I think it was like a week after free agency started, and that was essentially how the Jets were able to corral him. The move obviously didn't work out, but you see those situations where players are released for salary cap purposes after free agency begins, after that week begins. So I just think everyone kind of needs to just relax and understand just because they didn't sign a defensive tackle or didn't sign a right tackle yet doesn't mean that they're not going to address the needs eventually. We could get to a point where the Jets need a defensive tackle and draft Mason Graham with the 7th overall pick. Would anyone be against that? I don't think so. Graham's a really good prospect. There's a lot to like about him. Or what about Will Campbell? If they solve every other need in free agency, but they need a right tackle and they drafted Will Campbell, I think there's going to be a lot of people that can be excited about that. So very early in the process, you always want to make sure that happens. But the overall value of things, some teams are just going to punt free agency, particularly this year, because they don't want to give long-term deals to players that just aren't that good and aren't going to be as impactful as many expect.
I have a Jet signing. I had to look up who he is because I've never heard of him, but Aaron Wilson is reporting that the Jets signed Chikuma Okorafor, who I just looked up is an offensive tackle who played with the Patriots this past year. He appeared in one game.
I believe he was a Steeler, right?
Do I have the right guy here? I'm just looking at this. Jets signed Chikuma Okorafor. He played 12 snaps for the Patriots this past year. I have no idea who this guy is. This is where we're at right now.
Yeah, he played. So he was. I know who this guy is. Yeah, so he was the starting tackle for Pittsburgh for a good 3 years at the end of Ben Roethlisberger's career, and essentially immediately after. Mediocre at best, probably a bottom of the roster spot, more depth. Maybe he's in the competition for right tackle, but he's dealt with injuries and ineffective play recently. So something to look out for moving forward, but I don't think this deters them at all in terms of drafting a potential right tackle in the future.
Yeah, Will Parkinson was the first to retweet Aaron, who's a friend of mine who was on our show at the Combine, longtime NFL reporter based out of Houston. All right, well, this guy better not be the starting right tackle because that is a major downgrade.
Again, patience. Just because they sign someone doesn't mean that's magically going to be the starter right away. This is going to take time. This is going to take a process. It's one of those things. If you came into this offseason saying the Jets need to go all out on this free agent class, you were going to come away disappointed because there aren't a lot of very good players in this group. And I'd rather my team punt a decision like this into next offseason when the free agent class is supposed to be a little bit better than overspend for guys that may not be of good value or the right fit in the first year of a new regime.
Ladies and gentlemen, some more info on the new Jet offensive tackle. Former Steeler and Patriot, as Nick said, 60 career starts, 59 with the Steelers. He played one game with the Pats last season, left the team, didn't return. There's your veteran depth, I guess.
I think that's no more than that. I think he is the quality veteran depth player who can compete at the tackle position in training camp, but is probably going to be on the sidelines to start.
So some info from Nick's colleagues, Zach Rosenblatt and Rich Samiti, reporting now on Chikuma Orokafor. By the way, this wasn't even reported by Aaron. This was just on the NFL transaction wire. So I mean, it didn't even get out that the Jets signed him from an agent.
That should tell you what the thought is. He hasn't started for a little bit, left the Patriots. It's not going to shock anyone. It's not going to excite anyone, but it's a depth piece. It's a player who has started in the National Football League before that's going to get another chance to play this season. If he starts, whatever, you don't know what it's going to look like. But again, patience is a virtue, particularly at the beginning of free agency, because championships are not won on day one of free agency. They never are. They're never won on day 3 of free agency either.
Super Bowl is back on, Nick.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Oh, yeah. I smell the 4-win season, baby. Tremendous. All right.
I don't think they're only going to win 4 games. I think.
Sorry, 6, 7.
I think 6, 7 is probably.
Can't wait, baby. Can't wait.
But here's the thing. I think they're going to be a lot more exciting this year than they were last year. Last year, they were just debilitating. Absolutely debilitating. I think.
What does that mean, though? They're going to be more exciting.
Well, you're going to look at Justin Fields and say, wow, he's rushing for 800 yards and he's putting points on the board. But at the end of the day, they're still losing. Something like that. The offense is going to look a little bit better. And I think that's essentially where we're at.
Great. Thrilling. See with a super chat. I have been very positive, but Jake, I'm starting to smell it. I'm telling you all, bask in the glory. Hopefully it's not that, but that's where I'm at right now. Michael with a super chat. I donated to the Nick Faria steak fund when you guys were in Indy. Nick, did you get the steak? And if so, how was it?
I did. It was fantastic. I thank you all for your consideration and your help. Jake was obviously a fantastic host. It was a shame I couldn't be there longer, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. The steak was good too.
You came with us to St. Elmo's too, so you got the full combine experience.
Exactly, absolutely, and that was delicious. It was delicious.
FPP says, vote Dre, OG, or you will die. I'll tell you what, this is a fascinating ASMANIAC Madness matchup we have coming up on this show. If you missed it earlier, J-Quest with a big win as the 8 seed over the 9 seed NY Jets Florida 10. We're continuing matchups in the opening round in the Butter region today, Nick, and we got Mikey Midnight taking on a longtime caller, part of the family, Dre, the 12th seed here. So a little updated look at the overall bracket. We're making our way through each region's opening round, and now we have reached the Butter region. So J-Quest advanced this morning. Mikey going at it right now with Dre. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, be ready to vote. Hit it, Jim Nash.
It's time for ASMANIAC Madness. Who will cut the next down as the top ASMANIAC for 2025? Some of you don't even care, but we do. Let's get to it.
Nick, I know you filled out a bracket when you and I were at the Combine together. Remind me who your pick was to win the entire thing.
Ricky NY. Yep. I think he's going to win it. I think he's an underrated person in this whole conversation, and everyone's going to sleep on him all the way to the title.
All the way to victory, Ricky NY. Ladies and gentlemen, Dre is here. Is he trying to buy votes or just get in the next ASMANIAC raffle? Either way, I'm a capitalist. Dre, you're in for 5, and 5 people just got channel memberships. Ladies and gentlemen, if Dre's back, if he's here for this, I got to play you guys some greatness. That is our guy, Dre. Ladies and gentlemen, for those who don't know, Dre is the man who famously gave us a line that has been said on the show many, many times as I filibuster here because I can't find the clip. Where is it? All right, I'll just add a little bit. He's going to die. That was Dre in that video from our Long Island party over the summer. I can't find the clip. I don't know where it is. But Dre, thank you. You're in for 5. Let's see who got the memberships here. Minnesota Jet fan, Kyle Logan, Aaron Aguilar, Eric Spiner, Jared Mount, all receiving channel memberships there from Dre. And that's also 5 raffle entries. Couple days left to get in the next ASMANIAC raffle. So if you want a chance to win a signed jersey by each member of the Sack Exchange, a signed helmet, make sure you enter for your chance to win. Nick, now that we've had a couple days to really digest the Field signing, I want to turn our attention to that number 7 pick for a moment here. Your thoughts on the options now at pick 7. You also could base your thought process on what the Jets have done or haven't done so far in free agency. But, what's your feel with that number 7 pick as we sit here, just over 40 days or so from the draft?
Well, it's not going to be a quarterback. You don't pay Justin Fields $20 million to sit the bench in that first year. It's just horrific cap management if that were to happen. They're taking a quarterback 2nd, 3rd, or even the 4th round. I don't think they're going to waste one in the 1st round this year, and it's hard to argue against that. They clearly didn't love and fall in love with a top player from the Combine in these past workouts. I doubt there's going to be any changes on that end as well. I think if you're looking at where the Jets have needs right now, though, I look at offensive tackle and defensive line. And I want to stress defensive line, including edge rusher, because you don't really know what Jermaine Johnson's going to look like at the beginning of the season. You hope that he's going to come back and be the exact same player he once was, but Achilles injuries are always tricky. So it's one of those things where I look at edge rusher, defensive tackle, and offensive tackle that are the big needs. The wild card is going to be wide receiver. If they fall in love with a guy that they feel confident enough to take at 7, I don't know if there's a receiver in this class that is worthy of a top 10 pick. I think probably in the teens is probably the best overall spot for any of them. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're the Jets, and I say this all the time, I say this every single time you're looking for roster management, you need to make sure you get the 5 positions right: quarterback, receiver, offensive line, defensive line, and cornerback. The Jets have their corner. They've figured out who their quarterback is going to be. They have Garrett Wilson, but they need the offensive tackle. They need the defensive line, and they need a second receiver as well. So if you go any of those 3 options, I think, to me, is the best overall form. And I know a lot of people want Tyler Warren. They want the tight end because they feel a tight end is going to be incredibly important with Justin Fields. And no one's denying the level of importance the tight end could bring. But am I taking him at 7? Is that the kind of value that I want at the position? That's not something that I would do. I would rather, if I were the Jets, giving up a 4th or a 5th round pick, sending it to Philadelphia, picking up Dallas Goedert, and saying that's our tight end for this year or next year, instead of taking one with a top 10 pick and then essentially, throwing out a position that isn't really valued that high and then moving forward with that. I can't, in good conscience, in how I see teams are building, how championship teams are built, I can't in good conscience say the Jets should draft a tight end 7th overall.
Ladies and gentlemen, more breaking Jets news. It's something. The New York Jets have re-signed corner Isaiah Oliver. So we heard rumblings that the Jets were going to try and keep him. And according to Tom Pelissero, they've agreed the terms with Isaiah Oliver, who played in all 17 games for the Jets last season. So how about that, Nick? You and I do a show together, and we've gotten 2 Jet signings live on the air after the Jets did nothing but sign a random practice squad edge rusher today. Until then.
It's how it always goes. It's quite interesting. But with Oliver, he has the ability to play both safety and corner. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting to see how that sort of coincides with everything. They obviously want to make sure they get depth in the secondary, particularly at safety. So now they have 3 on the roster: Tony Adams, Andre Cisco, and now Isaiah Oliver. It'll be interesting to see what happens. They still need a guy that can play in the box, so keep an eye on that. But we'll see. It's clearly a flyer. He wasn't necessarily awful last season. See what you got on the kid.
So if you're just tuning in, the New York Jets have signed not 1, but 2 players in the last 20 minutes. The first one we talked about at the start of the show, they signed offensive tackle Chukwuma Wokofor, and now they have brought back Isaiah Oliver. They also, for what it's worth, officially announced the Jamie Sherwood re-signing, which is a big deal. I mean, keeping Jamie Sherwood is a really good signing by the Jets. So they made some moves. Obviously, still plenty of needs for this team. You can't fill everything up in free agency, but they clearly need to address wide receiver, Nick. Like, they have to add a couple pass catchers there, even if their plan is to do it in the draft, or maybe they're going to, take Warren at pick 7. He's going to be a weapon for them. They still need some weapons for Justin Fields to throw the football to.
100%. And I think they're going to tailor-make their offense. It's essentially Garrett Wilson, whoever's going to start at tight end, and then the running game first and foremost. But you always want to have that second guy. Mentioned it before in an article today on Athlon Sports. Keep an eye on Alan Lazard staying because there's just not a lot of great options right now. It just in the draft and in free agency, maybe as a second or third receiver. There are still guys available, Tyler Lockett, Stephon Diggs, but would any one of those guys want to come to New York in a run-heavy offense? I have my overall doubt. So, again, it's more of a wait and see. Wide receiver is clearly a need. I fully believe that it's going to be addressed. We don't know with who yet. But at the end of the day, there's just not a lot of great options at this point in free agency.
Super chat from Tyrone. Joe B was right today. I feel the same. We dismantled our offense, so we give $30 million guaranteed to a failing quarterback. Makes no sense. So until proven differently, I have no positive vibes. The thing I'll say, though, Tyrone, if they were going to move on from Rodgers, Fields was the only quarterback that you could sell yourself on where it doesn't feel like a lost year because at least you have the hope of him doing what Sam Darnold did or Baker Mayfield. Like, chances are he's not your guy, but it's a better path to go down than Wentz or Cousins or Mariota and all these other guys who aren't the answer and are just going to provide you with what? Like, best case scenario, a 8-win season? Like, come on.
Well, again, he gets to 8-9 wins. We're talking about a completely different Jets roster because now all of a sudden they're building something. They would have more wins in year 1 with Aaron Glenn than they ever did with Robert Saleh. But it's hard to see that happen when Justin Fields, and I've said this before, he can't throw the football. Like, I compared him to Jalen Hurts when they were both coming out of college because Jalen was such a raw passer, but he's grown into one of the better pocket passers in the National Football League. Justin Fields has had the weapons. He's had the offensive line. He's had everything there for him, and he has not produced. The Steelers were 4-2, and they benched him for Russell Wilson. And everyone agreed with the move because they could not throw the football. I look at where Justin Fields is right now, and I have serious concerns about him being a legitimate quarterback in the National Football League. Maybe they're able to get it together. His ability to run is certainly going to put butts in the seats, and he's going to get some exciting plays out there on the field. But the pickings are slim. If they didn't fall, I've said this before, if they didn't fall in love with the quarterback in the 2025 draft, you had to pick one up in free agency. Of the ones that are available, you're not getting Sam Darnold back. You're not getting Aaron Rodgers back. No one in their right mind wants Daniel Jones. So you're essentially picking between Carson Wentz, Marcus Mariota, and Justin Fields. Of all the three, the one with the clear upside is Justin Fields. So in fairness, this was really the only option the minute they chose to move on from Aaron Rodgers. And we can go back and forth about if the team should have moved on from him or not. Clearly, they wanted to move on so they didn't have to deal with the $63 million cap hit. Agree to disagree. That was the thought process.
Hit the like button if you're just coming in. Make sure you vote. Looks like we got a tight one. Mikey Midnight up 58-42 over Dre. A lot of people thought it'd be a blowout, and you know what? Dre is hanging in right now. People remembering Dre's contributions to the show as a caller over the last year. Mikey Midnight, though, emerging as a popular pick to win the whole thing. So we'll keep you updated on the poll throughout. Bet page Chris with a super chat. Nick, I didn't expect them to be big spenders, but asking Jet fans to be patient isn't fair. Been trusting the process for 55 years.
I'm saying patience in terms of free agency, guys. I'm not sitting there saying have faith in the organization. Free agency does not end on Wednesday. It doesn't end on Friday. There are going to be signings that are made. There are going to be trades that are made. To say that this roster needs to be fixed immediately is not fair to anybody. It's just not fair to a single person. So I'm not disagreeing that Jets fans have had to be patient all this time, and it's unfair for them to do that. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. All I'm saying is if you want your moves done now, that's impossible. It's never going to happen. No team has solved all of their needs in the first 3 days of free agency. It doesn't happen.
Dre says, looking for the call-in link. It is pinned, Dre, but I just posted it again for you. Cincy Matt says, agree with Faria here. Can't justify that high of a pick for a tight end. Solidify the trenches first, then a weapon. I'm just more open to it, though, Nick, because I don't think it's a great draft, and he's probably the best player when they're picking. If Mason Graham is there, that might change my thought process, but I don't know if 7 is – I don't know if Tet McMillan is a top 7 pick, where Tyler Warren, I feel like, might be.
But Campbell, I really like Campbell as a tackle option. There are offensive linemen there that I enjoy, that I think can be a great fit overall. And defensive line, this is a deep defensive line class. And, this comment here I completely agree with. You need to solidify the trenches. If you are trying to build a consistent winner, which is exactly what Aaron Glenn said in his introductory press conference, then you need to make sure your trenches are secure at the very top. Philadelphia was the 29th ranked passing offense this year, and they won the Super Bowl running away with it because they had the best overall trenches. And if you look at the players they had along the offensive line, first-round pick, second-round pick, and a 7th rounder that is one of the best steals of all time. Most of those guys are picked in the first 2 rounds. On the defensive side, first-round pick, third-round pick, and third-round pick. High draft picks, high positions of value. You have to go all in on the O-line and D-line because once that shores up, everything gets fixed. Everything changes when you can control the line of scrimmage because you can make average players look dominant when you can get blocks downfield 5-10 yards.
So you're all for doubling down on the offensive line.
Double down on O-line, D-line, wherever it goes. If they pick Mason Graham, if they were to go with, I don't know, Will Campbell, whoever it ends up being, I think it's a smart move. It's the exact same reason why they took Olu Fashanu over Brock Bowers last season. It was the right move then. It's an even righter move now. And I think if you double down on that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Hennessy says, Hennessy, good to have you back, man. I thought you were going to cry about people being annoyed that the Jets released a Hall of Fame quarterback and Hall of Fame receiver some more. In 6 years, Joe Douglas signed one good free agent, a corner 2. Reed was probably his best free agent signing if we're going to rank him. I mean, Conklin wasn't terrible.
John Simpson, I think, is underrated.
Simpson's really good, yeah.
Simpson's really good.
Let's see what other free agent signings.
Quincy Williams Quincy Williams was
waiver wire claim.
Barrios
waiver wire claim. Franklin Myers waiver wire. Douglas was low key very good at finding some diamonds in the rough on waivers.
Always had that. That's where he made his money in Philly and Baltimore too. That's always his strength.
Big fella says, please watch your mouth. Lazard is not staying.
I'm not saying he should. I'm saying that essentially you kind of look at the landscape of the NFL where everything is going and everyone's overpriced. It kind of looks like Lazard is on the path to staying with the team, does it not?
I hope not. But nothing would surprise me with this franchise anymore. That a Mick Clock says, John, is it greater than Darren Murgy?
3 days in, guys. Come on. 3 days in.
Oh, get ready. Nick, how do you think this fan base is going to be feeling after the 4-13 season?
We don't know they're going 4-13. It's too early.
Yeah, 6-11. Can't wait. David says, thoughts on the Milrose pick. I think you mean Milrow, David, but I like Jalen Milrow if they took him as a developmental guy. I see the similar skill set to the guy you love, Jalen Hurts. I see the skill set to Fields making some sense there. So I wouldn't hate that. I don't know if I would take him in the second or third round, but if they took Jalen Milrow in round 4 with one of their picks there, I'd have no problem with that.
Nothing wrong with that either, having a developmental quarterback that fits not just Justin Fields, but also Tyrod Taylor as well. Scrambling guy, big arm, got to work on his accuracy, got to work on his anticipation. But for all we've heard from Alabama, he was a great leader there. Obviously idolized Jalen Hurts, so he's got the right pedigree of where he wants to be. I have no problem with that. I think it would be a smart move. Picking a quarterback, if you're drafting a quarterback every year, but he's not in the first round, that shows you're trying to develop the right guy. You're trying to find it. That means you're at least attempting to fix this problem. And I can't fault anyone for doing that.
Swamp Ranger says, why is Clemens and Gibson still on the roster?
Day 3, guys. Breathe.
People want all the moves now, damn it.
Every move has to be made. Every move has to be made immediately. Clemens and Gibson must be released the minute free agency starts. And if not, it's going to be the end of the world. Relax.
Purple Belt Mike wants to know, who's this right tackle that we signed? Well, we talked about it earlier, Mike. He's someone who, if he starts at right tackle, smell that 4-win season, baby, because he should not be a starter for this team.
No, and I think he's more just going to be competition for guys like Carter Warren, guys like Max Mitchell. Whoever wins that probably gets the immediate backup to both left and right tackle.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats. The other breaking Jet story. I mean, we use the term breaking loosely here, but it is a Jet signing. They've re-signed corner Isaiah Oliver, which I think is a good move. I think it makes sense. He played for Wilkes with the Niners. So they've made a couple of signings here. They've kept some of their own. I would have loved it if they kept Morgan Moses, but you see the money he got from New England. I'm not surprised that the Jets didn't want to pay that.
You want to talk about surprises. The Javon Kinlaw one sent me through the roof. I was stunned that New England gave Morgan Moses 3 years on that contract. And I know a lot of Jets fans wanted to retain him, but there's no way in hell New York should have given him a 3-year contract. He's 34 now. You're going to pay him at 37 years old? Impossible. I would never have done that. I think the Jets were right to move off of that.
Gator writes in, we have Glenn for like a month already and not a single win. Are we ever going to win a game, Nick?
This organization is trash. Three days into free agency, and they don't have the Super Bowl yet. Terrible.
Unbelievable. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Appreciate everyone tuning in here. Hit that like button if you haven't. More importantly, I mean, we got a great ASMANIAC Madness matchup going today. The afternoon slate features Mikey Midnight and Dre, the number 12 seed in the region here, and it's a tight one. It's 57-43, almost 400 votes that have been cast here, so shout out to everyone that is tuned in. Hit the subscribe button if you're one of the 704 people that YouTube is telling me are watching the show right now. So big audience as we keep track of what the Jets do, or really so far what they haven't done, to everyone who's frustrated with the lack of moves. Kashmir says, Jets addressing quarterback by signing Fields was not bad. I agree. I was very outspoken on, if you're going to move on from Rodgers, Fields is the only one that at least you could present to your fan base as a plan to evaluate and maybe find your long-term answer. So, I mean,
we don't know. Yeah. We don't know. And it's not, and to sit there and say, oh, this was a terrible move. If he becomes the next Geno or Sam Darnold, it's a great move at a great price.
Right.
We obviously we have trepidation. We have concerns. Justin Fields has not shown the ability to look like a functional passer in the National Football League. But still, if you're looking for a bridge quarterback, this is the kind of guy you're looking for.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen, is Dre trying to buy more votes? A 5-spot of channel memberships from our guy Dre.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Now, I have located the clip I was trying to play earlier, Nick. So let's take you back to when times were good, we thought, for the Jets. We're at our Long Island summer party in Hicksville. Dre was there. Neil was leading a Jet chant. And Dre gave us a line that to this day still gets quoted on this very show.
It's Brock Purdy going to run for his life on the opener? He's going to die. Let's go. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Let's go.
Times were good then. We had hope.
That was a great time. I only stayed for a little bit, but I remember that. That was a great time.
J-Mags checks in. Now, he's an Arizona fan, so he's watched a lot of Ted McMillan here. I'm taking Ted at 7. This wide receiver room is a joke, and this dudes can't miss. P.S. in Arizona, we call him T-Mac. Still want quarterback later on. Keep drafting them. If they took Ted at 7, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad pick. Just the more I look into him, I just don't know if the Jets are going to take that type of player at 7. I wouldn't hate it if they did it. I just don't know they're going to do it, if that makes sense.
I just don't like any of these receivers. Like, it's like if Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, those are the top 2 guys. If they were available at 10 for the Jets and they drafted them, it would be very hard for me to say that's a bad pick. I look at where New York is now. Ted, I know the guy from Missouri is really good. Abuka is from Ohio State. These guys are solid, but they're not 7th overall pick solid to me.
Comments, questions, super chats. We'll keep going here. Kashmir says, Bill's getting Bosa. What do y'all think?
29 years old, hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he's coming in rather cheap. It's a good deal for Buffalo. Is that going to help them defeat Kansas City? Probably not. Not right now.
PBM, still no defensive tackles. Shake my head. I can't get run on all season.
And if they draft Mason Graham, what's the problem? We don't know. That's the thing. It's going to take time. This is going to take resources and months and weeks of planning. There's a word in Portuguese, espera, relax. It's gonna be fine.
The Dominican Destroyer Vargas has gifted a channel membership. Thank you very much. We'll get you in the raffle for 1 with this one. For those who are maybe new to the show or you're just tuning in for the first time this week, we do weekly raffles on this channel. This week's weekly raffle is New York Sack Exchange themed. We're giving away a signed jersey in white by each member of the New York Sack Exchange, a signed helmet by each member of the New York Sack Exchange, and a signed green jersey by each member of the Sack Exchange. Klecko, Lions, Salam, Gastineau on a jersey or a helmet. Those are the top 3 prizes in this week's ASMANIAC raffle. If you want in, you could gift the channel membership to your fellow listener or send in a $20 super chat, and that will get you 5 raffle entries. Good comment here from Dana that I agree with. Tanner Engstrand will make or break the season. I think he's the most important coach besides Glenn on the team. He's a first-time offensive coordinator with a quarterback that needs to be developed that has talent.
Completely agree. And listen, I like you look at the offensive system they ran in Detroit. It was very, very solid. They didn't have the full collection of receivers and weapons when they first started, when they won only 4 games, but they were competitive. And I liked what I saw. So completely agree here. If Engstrand shows competence and New York's offense looks 10 times better than it did under Robert Saleh, even at 6-7 wins, there would be room for positivity going into the next offseason.
Super chat from Ace of Spade. Would Fields benefit from a one-read offense?
Yes, but one-read offenses don't exist. And this is where NFL understanding, there is no such thing as a one-read offense. There are basic offensive plays like RPOs and everything that help out, and the Jets are going to use the RPO heavily, but that doesn't mean that it's just one read and that's how they're going to run the offense. There are going to be passing combinations where he's going to have to read the defense, where he's going to have to make quick decisions, and he's going to have to develop in that way.
We're presented today by Liquid IV. Stay hydrated. Use my promo code Jake Asman at checkout. You'll save 20%. I swear by Liquid IV. If you see me drinking water, there's always a Liquid IV in it. There's a little pouch right here. You see it on the screen. Put it in your cup. Put it in your glass. Put it in your water bottle. And let Liquid IV do its thing. We got a bunch of different flavors. I like the lemon lime. Love the strawberry lemonade. Love the regular strawberry one. And they just added the firecracker one, which truly tastes like a July 4th firecracker popsicle. So I can't recommend it enough. Check it out. Liquid IV, promo code Jake Asman. Link to their websites in my description, or just Google Liquid IV. Go to the website, Jake Asman at checkout. All right, Nick, you ready for some calls here?
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline is open, so you have a chance to get your voice heard on the show and get your mug on the show as well. How about we start off with a up close and personal perspective on the Jets?
I got my Iron UG. I hope you like my Jets take. You know they call me David T. It's not easy for me to see, but if you bring me full stream, you might like what I had to say. I'll need to get real damn close, cause my vision is dog shit. Hi, Jake and Nick.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. You know what? I just got to lay this out there. Nick, when Jake brings the heavy hitters on his show, and I've heard you on, not that I do it too much on other shows, but Jake is just the best. I mean, he's the best to work with, and
Thanks, David.
he is the man. And
Appreciate it, David. You're the man.
yeah, no, and I'm not kissing your ass. I'm just, speaking my opinion. Because when I get on the other shows, I don't say that I get bored, but I get off. But anyway, I'm just locked in on Tyler Warren. I just think the Jets need a animal tight end. They're comparing him to Gronkowski and all that kind of stuff. And I know that you're talking offensive linemen, maybe defensive linemen, but man, I don't know why I'm locked in on that, but that's my feeling.
Look, if they did it, I to me, my opinion would be impacted by who else would be on the board if they made that pick. But I don't hate it. Like if Mason Graham is not there and they went with Warren, I would understand it. I think it's logical. Like I think he's a top 7 player in this class, and I don't want to reach when I'm picking that high. The goal, even though I don't think this team is going to be great next year, the goal is to not be picking in the top 10 for a while.
Okay, so you would you feel that Graham would be the pick. I mean, I'm okay with everything. I just need your opinion.
Yeah, Nick is not pro tight end in that spot, but I'm more open to it than he is.
Okay.
Never tight end, running back, safety. I'll pass on them all.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. I know, and in the previous years, tight end, running back and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I just needed your opinion. But and Jake, I just wanna put in a good word for Mikey. I just feel he is one of the most uplifting people, and when he does talk about the Jets, a lot of the time he is on point. And I have him and another personality. I wish it could be a tie, but today's Mikey's day, and that's all I wanted to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, a strong endorsement for Mikey Midnight from the 2 seed in his respective region, David T.
Who's gonna be the best of the bunch? You get to pick the ones who make the show walk.
Dre with a super chat. I'd like to address our community. Vote for Dre. Dre, very salient super chat there. The question is, will you get enough votes to survive the Mikey Midnight rise? Because that's what I would call it, folks. It's been a rise. But don't forget, Dre's been here a long time.
He's going to die.
Will he be able to take down Mikey Midnight? We don't know.
Hey, Dre, what do you think about Brock Purdy?
He's going to die.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
More calls right now. The number 1 grinder's on the line. Number 1 grinder, how are you? Who's the number 2 grinder, by the way? Have you ever met him?
No.
Okay.
I'm the number 1 grinder.
Gotcha.
Brother Jake and Nick finally me too. I've always been a big fan of what you're doing. My thing is this, that for the Jets need to do, let's get the offensive line straight right now. We can always get the tight end and the defensive, and let's get the trenches done, and then we could build. Now, if people want to take Warren, okay, all right, but let's get the trenches done first. And that's all I want to say. I know we want this, some fans want this, want that. Let's get the trenches done.
Well, they have forfeits of their O-line under contract already.
This class is deep at tight end, deep at wide receiver, defensive, and it's deep. So we could build, we can get something. That's all I'm gonna say, and thank y'all. I really appreciate what y'all doing. Have a blessed one.
Grind appreciate it. The argument against O-line would be you have four fits of your starters already in place. Can't you find someone on day 2 like every other team in the league does and develop that guy?
But that's exactly why you take them. But that's exactly because if it's 4 out of 5 and they're secure and you feel like you can move forward with that and you pick a guy that you feel is going to be the next starting right tackle for the next decade, you don't pass that up. You just don't. Because then you never have to worry about the offensive line again, and you can essentially have the same group going time and time again and build an offensive line that people are going to be afraid of for the next decade.
I see the argument. If you're going to do it, you do it at a premium spot, so I understand that. If you're watching this live right now, we're talking about the latest Jet signings. There's been a couple of them, nothing major. We talked about them bringing back Isaiah Oliver. They signed Rashad Weaver. Earlier today, they added a depth offensive tackle who formerly played for the Steelers and Patriots. So we'll keep you posted on any other moves the Jets make here in real time. Right now, though, let's check in with a man who needs no introduction. He is currently competing in ASMANIAC Madness. He is currently trailing in this matchup 57-43. Ladies and gentlemen, can Dre make a comeback? If he does, it will start right now. Hello, Dre.
How you doing, Jake? Nick, my man, how you doing? Good to see you. Well, I'd love to say that I'm a second half team. I got to come back. I make some adjustments, but no, it's just me reaching out to the people. Hey, come talk to your boy. Come through for your boy. No hate on Mikey. I love Mikey. Don't get me wrong. Truly, if I go out now, hey, that's going to just bust my bracket because I had me going all the way.
I love it.
But, it's all good. It's all for the people. Hopefully, I could get a little bit of a push here and all the OGs show up and they could push me over the top. But we'll see. We'll see how it all goes.
Now, Dre, remind people, you were the architect of 28 touchdown Island. You got to remind people who you be.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I can never be accused for. I put myself. I raised my own hand. I'm accusing myself of. I show way too much love to Garrett Wilson. I love him. I'm sorry. I'm always going to feel that way. I think he's going to score 28 touchdowns every year. We'll see. Watch. Well, I'm gonna come up with some crazy link that's gonna be like, oh, Garrett Wilson is gonna unlock Justin Fields, and we're gonna look like champions. We're gonna look like geniuses. He's gonna research his entire career. I don't have the energy for that. I can't do it. But I'll get there. Give me till May.
Emmanuel with a good point. The man called from a hospital bed. Y'all just let us know.
That was a lot of fun. I remember that.
I did have Dre winning this matchup, if I remember correctly. So I'm hoping he wins for my sanity of the bracket.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because otherwise my entire bracket's busted.
Dre, I'm glad you called in, man. I'm glad. I feel like you're only a 12th seed because the depression of the Jet season, we didn't hear from you for so long. So you got a tough matchup.
I gotta tell you, like Aaron Rodgers really broke me. Like I have to accept it. Because you couldn't tell me nothing. I was obnoxious for 2 years. And I talked so much smack. Now I just have to be quiet and wait for the team to do good stuff just to back up my 2-year-old smack talk. Then I can come back after like half the season's over. Okay, I'm ready to talk now.
Dre, You're the man, buddy. I appreciate all the support on the channel. And OGs know. I mean, I'll leave it at that. OGs know what Dre has meant to this show.
Thank you very much. I'm truly just blessed to be a part of the community. I know I've taken a bit of a step back. Got other things going on right now, but I intend to start showing up more in the off season, and then when we start this new season, I shall be rejuvenated and back into my normal mess.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dre checking in. Is that call the start of a comeback? 57-43, the 5 seed Mikey Midnight with the lead. Over 500 votes have been cast, man. Viewership this month has been incredible. This fan base deserves so much better. Oh my God. I'm just so sick of the losing. I mean, the passion that this fan base has. It's time to win, man. Time to win. How about this from Mimosa? A 20 spot of channel memberships, 20 raffle entries for Mimosa.
It's the ASMANIAC membership raffle. For every membership gifted, you receive 1 ticket entered in the raffle to win epic prizes.
Time to strap up, Nick. Time to strap up. I got 20 names to read. Mimosa, you're down in the raffle for 20. Mimosa, I forget what she won most recently. She won the Namath helmet, which maybe arrived today or will arrive tomorrow, Mimosa, because I sent it out yesterday. Sharon McLean, Sam Aiken, Ulysses Gonzalez, Joel, all receiving memberships. So did Dan Rather, Eric Bianchi, Aaron Quinnos, Tom D., John Omari, Chitty Took, Finnegan's Flight Crew, Chico Andretti, Sharif Enai, Christopher Kaz, Kazezo, David Gerard, Charles Sanders, 99 Jet, Luke Spoletta, KG131. Those are the 20 Asmaniacs who now are channel members. Mimosa, thank you very much.
We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Let's go. We only use the helmet for 20 spots on the show.
It's the way to do it.
Special occasions. All right. Couple more calls here with Nick. So if you want to say hello to him, call in and you'll get your chance. Kyle Clifton has his chance right now. Hello, Kyle.
What's going on, fellas?
How you
What's
doing?
up, Kyle?
So, so many callers in this tournament are the victims of recency bias, and no one might be more of a victim of that than Dre. I think if this was occurring 6 months ago, Dre would have a real good shot. And there are so many other callers you could name. Scott.
Well, think about it, though. If this did occur 6 months ago, Mikey Midnight wouldn't even be in the tournament.
That's right. That's right. But you think about Scott, you think about so many other callers that it's really something that's really playing out in this tournament. If you are the flavor of the month, and if you versus someone who's taking a step back, you have an edge.
Unless you're Beast Breaker, then there's just so many people that don't like you, you'll be voted out.
Did he lose?
He lost to a 15 seed with a record amount of votes. It was even. It was like 50-50 for a while, though. It was very close.
So,
God bless America.
I've been pretty vocal that I wanted to go offensive line of tight end at 7, but in order to kind of fill the holes on this team, we really need to be able to trade back a little bit, not too far, but just a little bit. So if Shador were there at 7 and we didn't love Shador, but someone like the Saints did, or someone like the Colts did, that would be the ideal situation for us. At 14, I'd be very comfortable taking 10. At 9, if somehow Membo or Warren were still there, I'd be very comfortable with that. That's really the move that would work out best for the New York Jets in this particular draft.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know that that's there for us in this draft with the quality of the quarterbacks. I don't think, as Jake has mentioned before, that anyone's going to come up for Genty with the depth of this RB class.
I heard Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, they would pick him right in front of us, right? Or there would be maybe some teams that think they're right on the cusp of contention that might go with McGetman, but I don't know if I'd want to go that far back. There are a lot of holes to fill, and we have to think about the system we think we're going to try and run. If we think it's going to be 12 personnel, we're probably taking multiple tight ends, and we might not be taking as many wideouts as we thought. We might not have the emphasis on the slot that we've had in previous years. I feel like we need a big wide receiver on the perimeter. At the same time, Glenn has said we're going to be emphasizing speed, so I don't know how that plays in. This signing today for the Patriots' former offensive tackle, I think he was maybe on our radar last year. I don't know if he had to get his head right. He had to step away from the game. That is a great depth signing by the Jets. I would expect more of that, maybe more third, fourth, fifth round competition. Maybe they think that someone is going to emerge from that pack, and maybe they think that they're going to put AVT out on at right tackle again, and maybe have someone emerge at guard.
Time out. I'm glad you said it. I was waiting for someone to say it. Okay, if they're moving AVT out to tackle, who do you want as your right guard?
Polavea. I'm hoping he emerges.
Okay,
but there are guys on the team that
don't say Mikey Becton.
Listen, there's one player out in free agency right now who
don't say
fits
Mikey
the mold
Becton
of what you need at a right guard.
Nick, are you trying to cause an uprising among the fan base of the Jake Asman show?
I want Jets fans to have the conviction to say that you don't want to take an offensive lineman and you're comfortable moving AVT to right tackle and you need a guard and there's one more guy available.
Yeah,
dude. I don't think you can
I'm good.
You're not going to be winning many converts in the chat.
I want to see everyone going crazy on that because I said it. Who was it? I was on Paul's show this morning, and everyone's like, "Oh, you got to move AVT to tackle. You know, you're going to need a guard." Okay, well, one guy left. Let's see who wants to.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas.
Who's got the conviction to say it?
That might make sense for AVT. I mean, monetarily, it might make sense for us.
Oh, it's never going
to happen.
Never going to happen.
You don't think?
I just want to see someone have the conviction to say, well, you know what? We need a guard.
I don't know if I would I don't know if I would feel comfortable paying him. Like, is Mikey Becton going to get money and then go back to eating cheeseburgers and being fat and out of shape?
Of course. And there's so many issues. There's so many questions. You don't know if he's going to be the same guy that he was in Philadelphia. Of course. But he moved to guard.
Right. And I don't buy the whole AVT's has more of a propensity to get hurt at tackle.
I completely agree. Physical sport. He's a right guard, 100%. But that's why you want to take a tackle or you want to focus on tackle in the draft because this is a quality offensive line class, and you can move forward with taking one at 7 or 10 or in a trade back and trust that you now have all 5 moving forward.
All right. I mean, to me, if it's me, I'm taking more at 7, but I would agree to disagree with you, Nick. I appreciate your time, guys.
Kyle, excellent points. Good call.
He's a great call.
Yeah, Kyle's awesome, man. Kyle's a criminally underrated number 4 seed. Always brings it. Good takes, rational, on topic. Big fella says, send Nick to the hole. Well, big fella, 10 memberships or $50 super chat is the bounty equivalent to say goodbye to Mr. Nick Faria.
Feed me, boys. Feed me.
Beastbreaker has weighed in. Half the chat can hate me all they want because I'm a goddamn real and I'm passionate about a lot of things. I may have problems, but I'm a man's man. Amen. Beast. Amen. Nick, you want to know what a man's man sounds like?
Oh, God.
Would you silence or should I do one of these?
That's a man's man right there, right?
Good Lord.
Speaking of a man's man, before we say goodbye to Nick, let's say hello to an absolute legend that is nice enough to join us on the line here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lane Train.
Hi, how are you? Bruce Hall. That's good. Hello, Jake.
What's up, Lane? How are you?
So how do you feel about that whole Justin Fields signing?
I think it's a good signing. I think he's talented. He's got some upside.
Signing.
Maybe it can click for him here.
Yeah, I mean everybody's saying get like Mason Graham, but honestly, I could see the Jets signing him.
What about Dixon Hola, quarterback?
Yeah. Yeah, you could pick up him, Tyler Warren, Dixon Hole, or who else is there that there is? Well, somebody, yeah, Garrett Wilson went to the Dolphins.
Who did?
Garrett Wilson.
No, Zach Wilson went to the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Zach Wilson's a Dolphin.
You almost scared me with Garrett Wilson go to the Dolphins. That would kill me.
No, I mean, I don't think it was him. I think it was somebody else that went there. I don't think it was. It might have been. Who was? Somebody went to the Dolphins.
Everyone's going to the Dolphins.
Yeah, but now I know that. Okay, now everybody's interested in getting Aaron Rodgers. Steelers, number one, number two, Giants, or the Ravens, I think, or is it the Patriots?
The Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings rather. I don't think the Patriots want to pick him up. Like honestly, it's like this news is getting really like old actually right now.
What are you up to today, Lane?
Well, I'm happy that it's like baseball season. That's one good thing.
What's for dinner tonight?
For dinner, I don't know. I mean, last night I had some nice ribs and some rice and a egg roll, but I don't know what I'll cook for dinner.
An egg roll. I want an egg roll. Maybe I'll get Chinese tonight, Lane. You inspired me.
Yeah, do you like it or not? Because they got good food there.
Love it. I love a little Chinese takeout.
I don't love it. Just hope you don't turn to Charles Gorman with the soup. Charles Gorman and the soup.
Lane, what are your thoughts on Charles Gorman's ability to just fart?
No, I think he's okay. There's like 100 times whenever he's talking.
That's a pretty good impression of Charles.
I think he had some kind of like gas problem, honestly. Sometimes I think it's a machine that he uses, like one of those fart machines.
It really sounds like it. I mean, Lane, listen to this. It's just lethal.
Oh. That was funny, Axe, I gotta tell you, without some laughing. What else? Anyway, so how do you feel about the Giants like going into the draft? I think that the Giants, I think they're gonna end up picking second in the draft.
David writes in, Lane, I heard Dixon's going to Canada. Is that true?
Is he going to Canada? It's a good thing to look up. I don't know. I mean, I know that if the Jets sign him, it's gonna be good for like 3 years, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I was just like, just been, going through a lot of stuff. Mom broke her arm, so.
Oh, your mom broke her
arm?
arm?
Go to the hospital and stuff that, stuff that happened. I don't want to say that much, but I just helping her out.
You tell your mom the Asmaniacs are wishing her a speedy recovery, okay?
Jeez. Yeah, thank you. So anyway, how do you feel about the Yankees?
I feel like at this rate, Lane, you might have to start and play for them with all the injuries.
Yeah, they got a lot of injuries.
I know.
Hi. Sorry, everybody. See you next call when we talk about sports again.
The Lane Train, Nick. Always well said, well spoken, and makes salient points. Chef Kevin nails it. Lane's currently cutting down the nets. A lot of people have Lane winning the whole thing. You can see why with a call like that. Tom says, Faria, pay attention to these salient points.
I tried. I really tried.
Jay says, poor Nick. Dave Briga, Nick doesn't know how to react to Lane. Let's see. Tom Ace, Lane is a crafty lefty out of the pen. Seriously, Tom. Also, there was a comment I wanted to address about our female demographic, and I want to vehemently push back on this notion. RB writes in, all the farting is why the contingent of women will remain at 5%. I want everyone to know that we were at 4% for the longest time, and then we started playing more fart drops over the last 90 days, and now my female demo is 4.5%. So, RB.
5. Listen, that's improvement.
I'm going up in the female demo, not the other way around. So this idea that ladies, the idea that ladies don't like farts, not true. They laugh the same way we all do.
Listen, all it is, farts equal. I see Tom Ace. Farts equal ratings. You need more farts if you're going to want to bring more ladies to here.
A well-timed fart is funny. I don't care how old you are. And the Jets have been so bad, sometimes we have to resort to Charles Gorman farting because there's nothing else to talk about. On that note, Nick, thanks for hopping on, man. Appreciate you doing this early because I'm traveling during our normal time on Friday.
All right, I appreciate it, Jake. I hope everyone has a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Faria. Read his work, Athlon Sports. Follow him on Twitter. Jets actually made a few signings when he was on at the beginning. We got some depth on the O-line, and we signed Isaiah Oliver. Thunderlip says, Beast, those aren't farts. You're straight up bleeping your pants. It's tough to argue with that one, Beast. Does sound like that. Mimosa is a lady, as Charles Gorman would say. A lovely lady. Jake, the farts don't bother me. I do laugh my ass off. No pun intended. See? This is what I'm talking about. The 4%ers are about to be the 5%ers. And if you don't think it has anything to do with a well-timed fart, you don't know what you're talking about. Take a look. Here are the numbers for yourself, people. Over the last 90 days. Big fella writes in, does Lane know he made an impact on sports radio? Hey, Lane, are you still there? If you are, turn your camera on. We'll go back to you. I'll ask Lane. I don't know if he knows. Hopefully he's seen the greatness of J-Quest calling into sports radio in this town. All right, more calls here. Open phone lines for those of you who want to call in and be a part of the show. We're still taking raffle entries here. Sack Exchange theme. Pretty cool. Couple items for you. Signed white jersey of each member of the Sack Exchange. Signed helmet of each member of the Sack Exchange. And a signed green jersey of each member of the New York Sack Exchange. Joseph is up next on our show today. What's up, Joseph?
Hello, how you doing, Jake?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. It's been a pretty disappointing free agency, that's for sure, in my opinion.
It's been a disappointing 15 years.
Yes, well, for sure. I was talking to my non-Jets friends, and they were like, why are you getting so pissed at the Jets? I'm like, dude, I haven't seen a playoff game since I was in high school, man. That's why.
It's bad, dude. It's bad.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna keep it kind of short, but I will say this: the Jets need to do something with that 7 overall pick. I don't care if we trade back, but if we go defense, I swear I'm gonna freak the hell out. And I don't want to go offensive line. I really want to go Tyler Warren, give us a weapon that we can surround with Justin Fields, and let's fix the O-line like most people do in the 3rd and 4th round.
That's what I'm saying. And like Nick's point is, well, that's why you do it, because then you could solidify. No, that's why you don't need to do it, because you've already invested a lot in your offensive line. Olu was a first-round pick a year ago. AVT was a first-round pick. Tippin was the 45th or 43rd pick in the draft. He was a high second-round pick. Like, do what other teams do.
Second-round pick. Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just find a right tackle in the draft that could eventually be the guy, and go out there and get a real impact weapon at 7 or trade out and get extra picks. I agree. If they went D-line there, I wouldn't mind, though, if it's Mason Graham. I think he's worthy of a top 7 pick.
I do
just watch
agree
him.
with
I think
that
he's
as
good.
well. I do agree with that, but I mean, it's like if we're gonna see Fields take the next step, we need, in my opinion, we need Warren. And I thought the Jets would get a receiver by now. The fact that we haven't gotten a receiver in there, I know there wasn't many great free agents as receiver, but somebody's better than nobody. And we haven't even done that. I'm like, what are we doing here? You know, I think that I was really hoping we would get Justin Reed or whatever from the Chiefs, and it's like, why do we sign this guy from the Jacksonville Jaguars for $10 million instead of upping it $5 more and get somebody else?
Yeah, like John Holland. Yep.
Yeah, or Holland. Yeah, exactly, or Holland.
Are
Somebody.
you Seth Rogen's son, by the way, Joseph?
Yes. I'm just
Okay.
kidding. No. I wish. But yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like if we do this, I don't want to see a Starks. I mean, I think we need a Starks, but like we need to go offense here and actually see some weapons on the offensive line and have a 21st century offense. O-line would be a disappointment in my opinion. Trading back would be great if we don't fall too far back. But yeah, anyway.
We have another signing here. The New York Jets have signed former Packer center Josh Myers to a 1-year, $3.5 million deal, 4-year starter in Green Bay, back with Justin Fields, his Ohio State teammate.
So I'm hearing with this is Tittman is kicking the right guard. I'm just kidding.
Or this guy's the guard. And then AVT goes to or it's just a depth signing, and this guy's not a I don't know. I would have to talk to someone who covers the Packers and watches him up close.
I was just joking.
You can't formulate opinions. No, I know you are, Joseph. Good call. You can't formulate opinions on O-line signings unless you talk to people that actually watch them every week. You know? Like, I could tell you John Simpson was good because I watched them every week. But when they signed him, I had no idea. I had to talk to people that watched them in Baltimore. So, I don't hate this. 1 year, $3.5 million. All right. The Jets, since I started the show, for once have actually made deals during my show. As opposed to what normally happens. They wait till this show ends and then immediately do it. Then I got to jump back on. Now, this is interesting because he's only played center in the NFL, I'm reading here. Josh Myers. So if he's only played center, is he moving to guard or is Tittman moving to guard, as Joseph said? It's interesting. I mean, maybe that's the move. Tittman to guard, AVT the tackle. The Jets are like, we can't find a legit tackle, AVT. Maybe he wants to play tackle. He knows if he does a good job there in a contract year, he can make more money. I think this is possible, folks. I think it is plausible that the Jets bump Tittman out to guard and Myers plays center, or Myers is a guard and Tittman plays right tackle for a year. I don't think that's crazy. So, breaking news, for those of you just tuning in, Josh Myers is now a Jet, former Packers center. Ohio State teammate of Justin Fields. So, this is interesting. You know what? I don't hate this. I don't hate it if they moved AVT to tackle because they're not finding a better right tackle once they let Morgan Moses go. We know AVT could do it, and I don't buy the idea AVT got hurt the last couple times he happened to be at tackle because he was at tackle. These were like fluky injuries. I don't think it had anything to do with that. If they put AVT at right tackle, this kid plays right guard, and Tittman stays at center, I'm fine with that. That might be your best 5. I mean, they got plenty of time for this. Obviously, they could try out a bunch of different things in OTAs and training camp. Here's what he looks like for those curious. Here's the tweet from Jeremy Fowler, who I saw was the first to report this signing. It's not a bad O-line here. I don't know, $3.5 million is not a lot of money, though. It's not like starter money where it's like he's guaranteed a spot. Julian says, we signed an O-lineman from the Pats. Julian, you're in the raffle for 5. We covered the O-lineman they signed earlier from the Pats. He's most known for being a Steeler, not a Pat. I'll show you the breakdown on his career here. 60 career starts according to Samini, 59 with the Steelers. One start last season with the Pats, 27. So that's not this guy's starting move. Thunderlips, have any crazy ass maniacs ever called you well on Sirius? Yes, several times. I'm taking a Bobby Midnight call on Sirius. Gary's called a couple times. Always appreciate when the Asmaniacs call when I'm on radio. Asman checks in with a super chat. What's up? Me, Hermano, Jake. Happy birthday to me. Hey, happy birthday, Asman. That's awesome, man. Appreciate your support as always. Hope you have a great birthday. Fields was the move. Glad they made it. JETS. Jets. Everyone give some love to Asman. He's been a long time viewer and supporter of the channel. Happy birthday to you, Asman. I feel like we've had a lot of birthdays lately on the show. All right. I'm going to stay on a little while longer here because moves are happening for the Jets. This signing here is interesting to me. I need to ask some Packers people. I mean, if anything, this is a move where you have better depth on your offensive line. I mean, they only had, Colaveo, and they brought back Newman, I saw. So, if anything, you needed to add some depth to your offensive line. Like we talk about 4 of the 5 starters already being in place. That's true, but they needed some depth, and this guy is at least that. He started in the league before for a while. Only 26 years old. I mean, you're not going to bring back Wes Schweitzer. He's a free agent. He couldn't stay on the field. So, all right. It's just not. Of the smaller signings the Jets have made the last 2 days, I like this one. I like it. Let's say hi to Sheen, who's up next on our program. What's up, Sheen?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Hey, Sheen. How are you?
Good. How are you, Jake?
What's going on?
Just a quick question. My iPad's about to die, so I just wanted to ask this real quick. Give me a reason why I should give them the benefit of a doubt. Just give me a reason. That's all I want to know.
Well,
genuinely, every single move, no matter. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, the only reason is it's a new regime, so we don't know if they're bad yet. I don't know if they're good, but we don't know if they're definitively bad at their jobs.
But that's the thing, though, Jake. We hear this every single time. Every fan is like, "Oh, Robert Saleh," "Oh, yes, here we go, Robert Saleh this, oh, Todd Bowles this, da da da." Besides Adam Gase, but it's every single time. It seems no matter what happens, it does not work. So it's why now do people get optimistic? No matter what happens, I'm always negative. I won't stay in the chat or anything. I just watch. But it's I don't understand why people get positive. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, look, I get it, man. Because fans want to be positive, ultimately. Not everyone, but yeah, I mean, it's just I don't really have the answer for you, Sheen. I mean, the bottom line is this franchise, until proven otherwise, is one of the biggest jokes in sports. Hopefully they can change that. The Lions changed it where Aaron Glenn's coming from. So the positive is he's experienced the lows of low as a coach, and he obviously was a part of the Jets when they were terrible and then turned it around with Parcells. So, we're fans. We're trying to hope for the best.
Yeah, I got you. All right, thank you, Jake. I appreciate my bet's about to die. Appreciate
Sheen,
it.
all good, man. Appreciate you paying homage to Charles Gorman with that tank top look on the air. Well done, sir. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Spencer says, just now able to join. Heard enough. Bring on Beast. This is now the second day in a row Spencer Green has spent $1.99 to summon the Beast. And while I am a capitalist, I'm going to need more than $1.99 for that. Have you heard this man's Wi-Fi lately? And Beast is tired. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, more of your calls right now. Let's check in with a 0 seed in this tournament. Connor Long joins us. Connor, what did you learn in school today?
PSAT, Jake, went home early.
Oh, that's right. How'd you do?
Yeah, it was good. It was, I think, 4 sections long. Finished, yeah, got through everything. It wasn't that bad.
So do you think you're going to go to college someday?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see.
You should go to Ithaca, Connor. Continue on the Bomber on-air legacy.
A lot of greats went there. Yourself, I think. Who else? I think Bruce Beck went there.
Yeah, we have a lot of good broadcasters. Bruce Beck, Kevin Connors, Carl Ravage, the play-by-play voice of the Islanders, Brendan Burke, play-by-play voice of The former play-by-play voice of the Knicks, Ed Cohen, went there. Just trying to think of
Nice.
some recent grads too. We got a nice little lineage.
For sure, for sure. Anyways, with this Josh Myers signing, it's a little interesting. 26 years old, interior offensive lineman. The Jets really have no backup lineman if you think about it right now. What are your thoughts on potentially the plan? Josh Myers is your backup guy for the interior. You keep Tippmann at center. You keep AVT at guard, and then you try drafting Ozzie Trapillo is a name I really like out of Boston College with that 72nd, 73rd overall pick. Same with Wyatt Millam from West Virginia. What are your thoughts on trying to keep Tippmann at center where he's had success at the NFL level? Keep Elijah Vera Tucker at guard where he's found success at the NFL level as a guard. He got hurt every time they moved him out to tackle, and then you draft a guy like Ozzie Trapillo who could come in as your right tackle, and then the guy they just signed from the Patriots, Wuma, however you say his last name, could be your sixth man kind of swing guy because they tried putting him at left tackle with the Patriots. That didn't work out, but primarily a backup right tackle. What are your thoughts on potentially doing that? And then Akuma's your sixth man.
I like that than potentially using the 7th pick on a lineman. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather get a different player at pick 7 than an offensive lineman. And like I guess if it's Membu, I understand, but I don't know. I want a weapon, man. I want Warren. I want one of the receivers if they deem him worthy. I want one of these stud defensive linemen in a draft that's supposed to be a strength there. You know, I can't criticize them if they took an offensive lineman at 7, Connor, because I would understand it, but your path makes sense because they could get a different player at 7 and still, do what a lot of good teams around the league do. Find your other offensive line pieces on day 2 or day 3. I'm assuming this would be a day 2 pick you're talking about.
Yeah, 7. So the round 3 pick I was thinking about using on a tackle, so that whatever the pick we thought we gave to the Raiders, but we didn't. It's either 72nd or 73rd. So yeah, Wyatt Millam and Ozzie Trapillo were the 2 tackles I'm looking for in that range. Look, Jake, they talk about every position now at 7, and the thing I keep seeing us run into is, offensive line at 7, tight end at 7, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 at 7, interior defensive lineman at 7. Look, personally, I'm leaning the route more towards going with a pass catcher. I was on the Olu Fashanu train last year over Brock Bowers just because I felt it is more important to get your left tackle of the future than take a risk on a tight end. But this year, I'm really, really liking Tyler Warren overall. A yak machine, 6'6", 260 pounds. I'd be really, really interested in Warren. Jake, if it came down to Ted McMillan, who I'm also really high on, or Warren at 7, who would you take?
I think I lean Warren right now, which is surprising, but the more I watch Warren, the more I'm open to it.
What about Mike Green from Marshall? He's someone there were issues at his previous school before he went to Marshall, but he's someone I really, really like off the edge, and I don't think he's getting enough love.
He's Dom C's 5th-rated player, so some draft people love him.
Wow.
Love him. Yep.
And in your Monday Night Mock you were on with Green Bean and Dom the other night, didn't he fall your 2nd round?
We were on the air till like midnight, Connor. That's way past your bedtime.
I watched it till the 2nd round.
Yeah.
I had off on Tuesday too. So.
Okay. He did fall, I think, to the 2nd round, which will not happen. There's no chance he falls to the 2nd round in an actual draft.
Yeah, for sure. So those are the guys I'm pretty much looking out for here. I want to see a wide receiver added in free agency. I really do. Whether it's the names are really dwindling on the market, even if it's a Tim Patrick, who's your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. I understand if you build through the draft, but you gotta add someone in free agency in my eyes.
No, just get ready for the 4-1 season, Connor. I've been telling you this. All right, sniff it, take it in, prepare yourself. All right.
Jake, you realize though, if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers and he wins 9 games, not completely all on him. Look at who Mike Tomlin has taken to the playoffs. He's taken Kenny Pickett to the playoffs. He's taking Duck Hodges. I'm saying if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers, he's going to win 9 games. And
he should. I mean, maybe more than that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be in that 9-10 game range because that's what the Steelers do every year. They're a 9 to 10 win team who get in the playoffs and they lose in the first round. That's who the Pittsburgh Steelers are every year. I think he would be perfect for the Giants, but
would be nice, by the way, to do that, Connor.
For sure.
How many 9-win seasons have you experienced since you were born?
Well, I was alive for 2015, but I was 4 years old.
Okay, so you were alive for the last time this team won 10 games. They have not won more than 7 in a decade, and you're going to try and downplay the significance of going to the playoffs with 9 or 10 wins every year. All right.
No, I'm not downplaying it. I'm just saying if they
You're like, that's what the Steelers do. Yeah, it'd be nice if the Jets could do that for once.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. All I'm saying is if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Steelers, he's going to win 9 games, and because they can win 9 games without a quarterback at all.
And you know one of them will be against the Jets opening night at MetLife.
We'll see. The Giants rumors, I think, are nonsense because why would Aaron Rodgers want to go to the Giants? Why? The one thing was, maybe he could stick with that. Devontae was going to go with him, but now Devontae's with the Rams. He gets nothing out of going to a team where a GM and a coach are on their last leg and they need someone with an insanely high floor to try to get them 8 wins to stay afloat with this team for one more season. There's nothing he gets out of it. I mean, yeah, they have Malik Neighbors, but I mean, a bottom 5 offensive line, a bottom 10 defense. You're looking at a ceiling with the Giants right now that's 7 wins. Why would he want to go there? If I had to make a prediction, I think he either goes to the Steelers or he retires.
He would only go there, I felt like, if he had no other real options and he truly wanted to play. But now that it feels like he does have better options, I don't think he's going to end up with the Giants personally. I'd be surprised.
Yeah. Why would he want to go there? Again, he gets nothing out of that. So,
yeah.
Jake, I appreciate taking my call as always. Have a good rest of your night.
Connor, you have a great night. Are you back in school tomorrow? What's the deal with this education system these days?
Yes, I'm back in school tomorrow and Friday, and then I have all 5 days next week, and then I have spring break.
Oh, spring break. Oh, baby. Where are we going for spring break?
Visiting some family down in Florida for a few days, and then pretty much here on Long Island, though.
Nice. Enjoy it, Connor. Keep up the great work.
Appreciate it. Have a good night, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Connor Long. Go subscribe to Connor's YouTube channel for smart Jet Talk. Kid's a star in the making. He's already a star now. Let's be real. I just don't want him to take my job yet. I got to do this for a while. That's why we need to make sure Connor goes to college. He doesn't just say, I don't need to go to college. I'll just be a YouTuber now. Like, honestly, I could have done this years ago if it existed. I didn't need to go to college. You guys should have seen how unhinged I was in high school doing it as a Jet fan. I would have way more subscribers if I started this sooner. Philly Noodles is up next. What's up, Philly?
What a consummate professional that kid is. Jesus Christ. I mean, he probably has like a higher credit score than me right now, and he's not even like out of high school, bro. That kid is a freak. I can only imagine your takes getting angry though back in the day if you had your YouTube channel.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like Richie, he's younger, he composes himself, and he does. I think you would just be off like a firecracker, bro. Just mad, especially. Oh God! Imagine the Sanchez years when they lose the butt fumble, dude. You should be happy you never covered the butt fumble.
The butt fumble really in real time. It did not faze me. They were already like it was the most overrated play of
100%.
all time. Like the Jets
100%.
were getting their ass kicked that night already.
Yeah.
They were bad that season. The 2012 Jets were probably outside of this past year's team were one of the most unlikable Jets teams of my lifetime. Like. The butt fumble happened, and I'm like, oh, of course, typical Jets, brutal play. Like, I had no idea in the moment it'd live on to be like this play that everyone knows Mark Sanchez for, which is ridiculous. Like, it's so overrated. If it was not in a primetime game on Thanksgiving night, no one would give a flying you-know-what about it this many years later. It's only a big deal because 1, Jets, 2, primetime, 3, not just any primetime game. It was on Thanksgiving, so the entire country was watching.
It's like how they don't let what's that tall, skinny guy on ESPN, the ex-quarterback? He played for the Lions. He ran outside, out of bounds in the back of their end zone. What's his name? Orlovsky, yeah. Like they don't let him live that down since he's on TV. They'll bring it up like once a year. You know what? So with the signings, honestly, the depth, they're bringing in depth. No big name on tackle on either side. So I feel like obviously. If they're going to build through the trenches, I mean, you take the best option available, but there's so many. Like, if Membu falls, how do you not? If Campbell falls, how do you not? Mike Green's going to be there. There's no way he's going. If Mason Graham's there, how do you not? Like, they're going to have a weird decision to make on either side of the ball in the trenches is what it feels like. But they still haven't even signed a receiver yet, right?
They have not signed a receiver at this point.
So Tet might be, I mean, Tet or Warren – feels like a really good idea to get a weapon going, right? It just feels like why would you not? Without a doubt. But first off, Mikey Midnight killing it. When he made that take about Cornely, The tackle, I like my brain spun. Like that kid is nasty. If he's available in the second round, if they go ahead and take a weapon or a DT and they can grab him, that would be a great pickup. The kid from Oregon. If they don't grab him, I could see the kid out of NC State, Belton. If they can grab him around like third or fourth round, he'd be a good tackle to grab.
Please.
He's a senior.
Philly, they have to find guys in those rounds at that position.
Breaking sports news on the Jake Asman Show.
Actual Jet breaking news. CJ Mosley officially released. The Jets themselves announced it. Now, what I'm curious with Mosley, if it's a regular release or is he a post-June 1 release? You can only designate 2 players for post-June 1. They're doing it with Rodgers. If they do it with Mosley, they save around $4 million in cap space. If it's a regular release, they lose $3.6 million in cap space. So that's what I'm looking to see. There's no news on that just yet. Now, as far as CJ Mosley goes, we knew this was coming, and he's a great Jet. He was a great Jet. It's unfortunate he never got to experience any winning in the grand scheme of things while he was here. He's been on the show before. I met him in person at the Super Bowl 2 years ago when he came on. Could not have been a nicer dude. Really, really good player. Great leader. But you knew when they re-signed Sherwood and they had Quincy and CJ was coming off another injury-plagued season, he was not going to be on the team. So it's unfortunate that CJ Mosley never got to really experience any sort of winning. But this guy was a great teacher. I had Jamie and Sherwood on my ESPN radio show, and Sherwood said that without CJ Mosley, he would have had no chance of developing into the player that he's now become. Quincy said similar things as well. So CJ Mosley's a great dude, great Jet. If he keeps playing, I wish him well. You know, he's someone you hope could be a part of the organization once he retires, because anyone who's ever interacted with CJ Mosley only has good things to say about him. You know, you could see him having one of those roles with the team like Corbett has, or Mangold, or Tony Richardson, Lavernius Coles. You know, CJ Mosley would be a great guy to have part of the franchise. Just brutal, man. This guy came here from Baltimore and never got to experience any winning with the Jets. Never made excuses, never complained. Just a good dude. Brutal. Boomtown with a great point. I'd say this move solidifies us as salary cap champions. Yeah, baby. I got my ring right here. Got fitted for it and everything. Salary cap champs, baby. Let's go. Shout out to CJ. Breaking news. I got to stay on longer, folks. I mean, the Jets have made a lot of moves since I started this stream. We've had like 3 signings, a Mosley release, I mean, wow. It just sucks. They just never won, man. Never won with this guy. They should have, and they never did. But that's life as a Jet fan. Let me show you guys my pictures I have with CJ when he came on the show. I'll put it up on the screen here. Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. We're breaking down all the moves the Jets have made, and looks like I'm seeing here it's going to be a post-June 1 designation for Mosley, which makes sense. They used the first on Rodgers, the second on CJ, so the Jets will gain a little extra cap space there. But shout out to CJ Mosley, man. Great Jet. Great dude. Let's hope the Jets could find more players like CJ Mosley. And you could tell how much the Jets like him, because when they released him with a statement from the owner. Woody Johnson says CJ Mosley was the epitome of a class act. The passion and commitment he brought each day to the organization inspired his teammates to give their all. So June 1st designation, which spreads the cap hit over 2 years for the Jets, ultimately save some cap space. I think CJ's going to keep playing. I don't think he wants to end his career the way he went out. So we'll see where he goes. Bino says, why did they sign the Packers center? We talked about this earlier. I mean, could they move him to guard and kick AVT out to right tackle because they think AVT is the best right tackle option they'll find? Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. He didn't sign for starter money, so if anything, Bino, it's a depth signing. I mean, you needed a Wes Schweitzer replacement anyway. Jared checks in with a super chat. The cap space champions bid has become my favorite, Jake. Absolutely hilarious. Love it. Yeah, baby. Cap space champions. You had to get rid of Rodgers. We had to do it. We needed to save on the cap. And by the way, to all you cap space champion people, they didn't even take Rodgers' cap hit all in 1 year. They still spread it out over 2. So they didn't even save as much as... Don't even get me started. I appreciate it, though, Jared. Thank you. All right. More calls. Appreciate everyone tuned in here. Reminder, Sack Exchange theme raffle. If you're interested, we're giving away this jersey you see on your screen, this helmet you see on your screen, and this jersey you see on your screen. So you have a chance to win those items. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time.
Holy crap, here comes Beastbreaker 666.
Why don't you get your fat ass on a treadmill and go the distance with me?
Is that Bobby Midnight?
I'm not into politics, and I already told you that.
I might be big, but I'm gonna be bad enough to put you out.
Beastbreaker always has some salient points.
Bye-bye, CJ. Get a good season, kid. Don't worry, we'll get you again soon. Can you smell it? Smell it. What does that smell like, Jake? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, name it.
I hope it smells better than 4, Beast, but I'm not feeling great.
Yeah, I know. Well, my stomach doesn't feel so hot after watching that. I had a sick of my feeling that we lost talent. Well, I did a math study today, and I added up everything up. I think we're gonna have to do now that we've lost.
Peace, we got to do something about the Wi-Fi, man. It's getting worse. Or is it your mic? Unreal. It's so bad. Spencer Green, donate this to fix that bleep Wi-Fi, please. We have tried, folks. Trust me. I've spoken to the Beast Breaker off air multiple times. He does not... one ear out the other. Doesn't work. I've tried. Believe me. Gator has tried. More calls right now. And this one is significant here because tomorrow on the show, our second show on the day, is the all-Australian matchup. The 6 seed Craig, the 11 seed Sarah. So I'm very curious who this guy's going to be voting for, considering the fact he also lives in Australia. Australian Jets fans on the line. What's up, man?
Hey, Jake. I will announce right now I will be voting for Craig.
Wow. Okay. Now, look, you have every right to, but please explain why you're going with Craig over Sarah.
I've never seen Sarah before. I'm only familiar with Craig.
Fair logic. Fair logic.
First time hearing about her. I'm I love finding out about more Australian Jets fans every day, though. But my question is, how would you address our issues at wide receiver? Obviously, Olave is a huge talking point. Could you see the Jets trading for them? Would you trade for him if you were the Jets, or would you just go to the draft? What do you think the answer is?
So I would absolutely be interested in Chris Olave, but I don't know where these trade rumors are coming from because it's not like it's been reported that he's being shopped or that the Saints want to trade him. So I think people are just connecting dots because, oh, Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields, get Olave too.
100%. 100%. That is exactly why he's in talk.
Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever explained why you chose to be a Jet fan being from Australia?
Yes. My dad goes for the Jets.
Interesting. And is he from New York originally? I mean, what's the
No, no,
Jet
no.
connection?
He's from Melbourne like me. I'm actually trying to find. I've got to see if I can find my Jets hat. Actually, he gave it to me. I think it was from the last time he was in New York. I've got it here.
Oh my God, the O2 division champion hat? That is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
They haven't won the division since.
Nope. I remember asking before I really started watching football. I remember asking him about if the Jets were ever good, and he told me about when he remembers that they won the division. And I think that's about as much success as we've had recently. We're in, not since the 60s.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, look, it's been a while. They had a run in the 2000s. They were good in 09 and 10 with Rex his first 2 years in the championship game, but I mean, they have the longest playoff drought in sports right now. It's been a disaster.
Oh, American sports at least.
Yeah, I can't speak to Australian sports or English
I could
sports.
probably find some other sport with a worse drought. But you could be the Gold Coast Suns, who have been in the Australian Football League since 2011 and have never even made the playoffs.
Damn.
But they have no fans, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'd love to have 3 Australians at least in the tournament next year, Australian Jet fans. So keep calling in, all right?
I'll make sure to. Have a good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, Australian Jet fan on the line there, and he revealed he will be voting for Craig in the Aussie matchup tomorrow. Now, the first matchup on the day tomorrow is another great one. Ricky NY and Dark Knight Steve, a 4 versus 13. And going on right now, the 5 seed, Mikey Midnight, and the 12 seed, Dre. Mikey up 58-42. Almost 750 votes have been cast, which is incredible. The problem with our last caller, by the way, it's not his fault, is that we also have a guy, he doesn't call, but he's always in the chat, engaging and gifting memberships and supporting the show, named Austrian Jet Fan. So it's like a tongue twister for me when I go to Australian Jet Fan, and then we have Austrian Jet Fan as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy on the line is someone this chat knows well. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time.
Knockouts don't matter if you land enough jabs. So I got a couple of thoughts. First thought on the brackets. Look, Mikey's got a comfortable lead, but I don't think it's what people were expecting. Do you think that has more to do with Dre and Dre's call and saying, hey, I don't call as much, but I used to be a top 10 caller? Or do you think it has to do more with Mikey might not be as beloved as we originally thought? Which one do you think is a bigger factor for this being this competitive?
I think it's a lot of love for Dre and his value to the show over the last year. I think that's what it is. I think Mikey's an amazing caller, but I think it has a lot to do with Dre. Because Dre, I think if he had continued calling, would not be a 12 seed, obviously.
He'd be a 5 seed or a 4 seed. He'd be high, right? I mean, because
you could
we
probably
did this
flip
6 months
them.
ago.
Yeah.
That's always my thought on that. So, like, do you think it's just a tough draw for Mikey getting Dre at 12? Like, that was just a. I mean, he's gonna get by. He's up by 130 votes or something like that.
He should win, but no, I mean, I think that has a lot to do with it. I think it's a testament to Dre. You know, Dre called in earlier. Maybe people saw that call and were like, "I want to vote for Dr. Dre."
Why not vote for Dr. Dre? He's been a good caller for a long time. I mean, he has some memorable calls. 28 Touchdown Island. He called in from the hospital.
He's gonna die.
He's gonna die. Dre's got some good moments for sure. Lots of good moments. It's just he hasn't called in much since like the middle of the season. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. But no, Dre's
Toaster Strudel says, "I hope Gary takes an L."
All right. I mean, you can't be all things to all people. Look, one thing I know for sure: anyone who hates on you hasn't accomplished what you have. Right? It is what it is. Anyone who hates on you hasn't accomplished what you have. That's for sure. Right? Like when Connor Long starts his radio career, you're not trying to hate on Connor Long, right? You wish him nothing but the best. No one hates on people that have accomplished less than them. Only people who have accomplished more than them. Keep that in mind, Jake.
People only hate on those that have accomplished
more. No one hates on people who have accomplished less than them.
Interesting.
It's true. It's true. People hate on LeBron James all the time. People hate on Kevin Durant all the time. Nobody hates on Keon Johnson. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right. So my thought on the Jets is I don't really like any of these guys. Are you open to taking Will Johnson at 7, or is that just a problem because him and Sauce both are poor tacklers, below average tacklers? Is just too much non-tackling going on in the secondary to draft Will Johnson? Because I like Will Johnson, but I mean, the flaw is obvious. He's not a very good tackler.
I don't feel like they should take a corner at 7 when they have Sauce, who they're going to pay. They have Michael Carter, who they've already paid. And they just spent a considerable amount of money on that guy from the Ravens.
I don't like any of these other players, though. Like Ted McMillan, Tyler Warren. Like, these guys are all right. Like
I like Warren. I like Warren. I like Mason Graham. I like I like Ted.
If Mason Graham is there, we'll take Mason Graham. But I'm assuming he's gone before we draft. If Mason Graham is there, let's take Mason Graham. I'm with that.
What about a lineman? What about Membu from Missouri?
I don't know. This guy kind of. I was going to ask you: is he even good, or is he just a combine guy?
Who, Membu?
Yeah, I don't really know anything about him. I'm fine with.
I think he was good, and then has had a great pre-draft process, so he's going higher than expected. But he was always going to be a first-round pick. They were saying.
I just hope both quarterbacks go in the top 6, so it pushes someone else down.
Or Shador's there at 7, and they could trade out and get a bunch of picks and set themselves up to better address the roster.
I can do that. Yeah, if Sanders, they're not going to draft him if he falls to 7, right? That's out now that we have Fields. We're not going to do that, right? Please tell me we're not going to do that. Please tell me we're not going to draft Shador Sanders at 7 if he falls to us.
I mean, I could tell you they're not, but if they do, I have no influence. If I had influence, we wouldn't have a 15-year playoff drought right now. The Jets would have been in the playoffs in 2023 if they listened to me from day one saying they needed a better backup going into the year than Zach Wilson. This was not revisionist history. This was the day I went back and watched it just to make sure. The day they acquired Rodgers officially, I said, we need a better backup. We need a better backup. And then no one on YouTube had a louder voice screaming and yelling for Joe Douglas to get off his ass and sign someone than me the day after Rodgers got hurt. The night Rodgers got hurt, and I did the show from Neil's Sprinter on my way back from the worst moment of my sports history ever being in person for something.
Did you just hope it was a sprained ankle? I remember getting texts from my friends back in New York and stuff saying, I'm like, no, it's just a sprained ankle. He's going to be fine. He's going to miss 2 weeks. He'll be fine. And then
that's what Neil said to me. He's like, he's sprained. He'll be back for the second half.
Being optimistic. Like, you knew at that time.
Mimosa says, oh my God, Gary, you're ridiculous.
What did I say that was ridiculous?
I'm pretty sure I've accomplished more than you, and I hate on you.
No one hates on people that have accomplished more, that they've accomplished more than. You wish nothing but the best for those people.
Well,
people
I don't know what Mimosa has accomplished, but I would love to hear, and then we'll hear, Gary, what you've accomplished, and then we'll run it up the pot. I can't. We got an ASMANIAC Madness matchup. Who's accomplished more, Mimosa or Gary?
You don't hate on people who have accomplished less than you. You only hate on people who have accomplished more than you. It's a reality of life.
Well, ladies
I
and
don't know what I've
gentlemen,
ever done to Mimosa. I don't understand what I've done to her, but it's fine.
Gary, I got some news for you. You ready?
Take that money. Take that money. Oh,
no, it's not that. It's South
$50
Ass on
super
the
chat.
line.
Gary,
what up, South Ass?
don't worry about what you did to Mimosa. Worry about what I'm gonna do to you, baby. No, I'm just kidding. I'm out here working, just calling in.
It's coming, baby. A little
Are you
preview.
just going by South? No more South End Auto Detail. You're just going by South Est now. That is the new name.
That's what I didn't change it. That's what the people. That's what the people put me. I'm gonna have to change my LLC now. South Ass bidet cleaning. You know. But yeah, man. But I think you got the edge on me. But either way, I didn't even know I was in it. I didn't know if you caught that, but I called like last week. Jake's like, oh, member of the tournament. I'm like, what the hell? I didn't even know I was in it. So just happy to be a part of it, man. Happy to be a part of the community, and figure I'd hop in because I seen you in here. Tell you good luck. You probably don't need it, but I think it's something to do to give me a little edge against you. You got gator skits behind you.
Don't sell yourself short, South. That's people. You're a good caller. Like, believe in yourself.
Let me stand behind the banner, baby. Maybe this will give me a little clout.
I wish
South
you the
Ass
best of luck
banner.
too, but not too much luck. Like just the right amount of luck.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah,
Here's the thing, South Ass. If I were advising you on how to go up against Gary, you have to take the Dave Briga approach. You have to hope there's just so many people that despise
hate him.
Gary that will vote for you almost out of default.
shit.
So you have to just remind people of some of the things Gary has said and hope that will help people lean in your direction.
Yeah, I might call in with me and my dog's ashes, maybe get some sympathy votes, I picked him up today, brought him home, so that was good. And I'm glad you were live because had to work late. I'm in the shop feeling a little fucked up. Holding the dog's paw print on the way home in a piece of clay, but get through it, man, I appreciate you going live. And yeah, Gary, listen, I know what you deal with, man. You got your family stuff at home. I have autistics in my family as well, and autism, and my brother has Asperger's, and my father was just in the psych ward. I just had to fight to get him back home. So I know what you deal with, man. Ain't nothing short of that. So keep being a good dad, and see what happens with our Jets.
Hey, I appreciate you. It's not true what Bobby says about you. You're a good dude, Southwest. You're a good dude.
We're cool. Bobby's my boy now.
I know.
I broke the bridge on cursing. Nobody could curse before me, so I deserve a little thanks for that.
You're a good
yeah,
dude,
man.
Southwest.
Ladies and
good man.
gentlemen,
Gary. Best
the
of luck to
meeting
you,
of
man.
the minds, the 2 seed, the 15th seed, the final matchup in our round of 64 butter region. When we get there, ladies and gentlemen, give it up to both of them.
Who's gonna be the best of the bunch? You get to pick the ones that make the show rock.
Couple super chats here. Big fella says, Beast, change your damn shirt. It's been 3 damn days. Your attic must reek. Moose writes in, would you consider signing Cooper Kupp? It would depend on the money. He's a really good blocker, but he's so injury prone. And why would Cooper Kupp want to come to a team that is not a Super Bowl contender? Unless you overpay him. So I don't see it. I wouldn't hate it. You got to tell me what the money is. Sign it for no 1-year deal is a bad deal. Like, obviously, there's varying degrees of 1-year deals, but like you could get out from under a 1-year deal if it's with Cooper Kupp and it doesn't work. The problem is if you spend in free agency on the Tremaine Johnsons or Le'Veon Bells of the world, then you got issues. Or Laken Tomlinson. By the way, poor CJ Stroud, man. They trade Laramie Tunsil and they sign Laken Tomlinson. He's going to be carted off the field this year in a game. Spencer Green says, I guess Beastbreaker is Elon 2.0, then Gary. Man, we need Beast to get the Wi-Fi figured out, man. That's the key. Or the mic, whatever it is. Hey, it's big_kid. Jake, the releasing of CJ Mosley stings super bad. It's a shame we can't afford to pay all our stars because of the $49 million dead hit. That has nothing to do with why they cut Mosley. They cut Mosley because he's been injured and it's time. They just paid Sherwood. They have Quincy. It's time. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Mosley's not the same star player he was a few years ago with this many injuries. Yeah, the $49 million dead hit is not the problem. The Jets had a $50 million dead cap hit this year among all their players, and no one was complaining about the talent level of the roster at the beginning of the year. We all thought it was a good roster. But, I talked about CJ when, it happened earlier in the show. I wish him well, man. He was a great Jet. He is a great Jet. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Last chance here to get in on the program. JD says, I could see Cup going to KC. Yeah, that would be a logical choice. They got to replace D-Hop. M. Morris says, the Bobby Midnight Show is one continuous cuss word. Yeah. Not a family show, that Bobby Midnight Show. JJ says, CJ, great Jet that skipped out a whole season and then came back and was awesome. Calm down. By the way, can you blame him? I wouldn't want to be coached by Adam Gase either. He missed the 2020 season. Good for him. CJ Mosley's first game as a Jet, by the way, is one of the craziest games ever. Obviously, we know the Jets blew it late against Buffalo, but until CJ got hurt that day, he played like Lawrence Taylor. He had the greatest Jet debut I could ever remember a Jet defensive player having. And then he got hurt, and then they collapsed without him. That first game against the Bills, remember Darnold threw that 2-point conversion to Le'Veon Bell after he ran around? Allen got pick-sixed in that game early. Oh, the Jets blew that game. That was such a brutal loss. And then Sam got mono. He played in that game with mono. Had to miss the next 3 games, and the season was over by the time he got back because we had Luke Falk at quarterback because Trevor Siemian broke his leg after Myles Garrett sacked him in that Monday night game. Brutal. Gator says, who will get a job first? Charles, Bobby, Cheats fan, or Joe Douglas? And who is the laziest of that bunch? Well, it's Bobby's ultra confident that he's getting a job on Tuesday. I'll believe it when I see it, but I'm rooting for him. Cheats fan comes up with every excuse imaginable to never have to get a job. He bounces between more jobs than anyone. Charles, I would probably rank ahead of Cheats fan. And look, Joe Douglas, I mean, he had a head start on everyone, and he's still not with anyone. So maybe he's taking the year off from football, I don't know. Or maybe Douglas is someone that waits till after the draft when teams make some changes to their scouting departments, and then someone will give him a job then. So if I'm ranking this, I'm going to put Bobby 1, but it's risky. But that's because he's telling all of us he's getting a job on Tuesday. So we'll go Bobby 1, we'll go Douglas 2, we'll go Charles 3, and we'll go Cheats fan 4. No one is lazier than Cheats fan. Let's call it for what it is. This guy's up all night playing Magic the Gathering and making sweet love to his Yu-Gi-Oh cards or Pokemon cards or whatever and not getting a job. So I think that would be my order if I had to break it down. PA with a great point. Bonesy should hire Joe Douglas. That's a good point. Very good point. You imagine Joe Douglas walks into Alden's shoes? Bonesy might faint.
The only thing better than Alden's shoes is Joey D, cause he totally rules. Jake, my brother, I'm high as a kite. I love everybody. Damn, this show is crazy.
Zoink Nation says, can we all admit that Gary was right and is usually always right? We should have drafted Brock Bowers. This has got to be an attempt at trolling. I would say Olu Fashanu is awesome. So is Brock Bowers. Guess what? Olu's awesome. They need a left tackle. Imagine they didn't have Olu and they just let Morgan go. Who's the tackles right now for this team? Let's see. So I was trying to get to 2 hours. We just hit that mark. We've had a bunch of signings here during the show, so I appreciate everyone tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Last chance to get in here. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Let's see. Any other signings here? Rico Dowdle is signing with the Panthers. There's that. Sharon says, Warren's Warriors unite. The Warren Whisperers. Stack says, hit the like button. He makes a good point. There's still over 500 of you in here, yet only 374 likes. But 812 of you have voted for Mikey Midnight. So the math is not mathing. More importantly, can you hit the subscribe button on the right-hand side if you haven't done so already? We're on our way towards a record month of March. We're at 41,505 subscribers. So let's keep it rolling. Jared says, where's Mikey in his hands? He called in earlier on the first show today. He's working right now. Mr. Bigskins, damn, we're really going to keep Lazard. I think they're going to release him eventually. They just haven't done it yet. Maybe they'll wait and see where Rodgers goes, and then ask that team that Rodgers signs with to give them like a conditional 7 for Lazard. Alan writes in, is my matchup, what did you say here, Alan? Let's see. Is my matchup in the morning or afternoon on Friday? Hold on now. Let me pull up the schedule for you, man. Let's see. Oh, here it is.
Now look what you've done, Alan. No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to pull you out of the chat and cast you down with the Sodomites. Some time in here will feel like you've been run over by the lane train. You understand me? You catch my drift? Give them another 24 hours to think about it.
Yeah, I found it. It's, well, I don't know. It will be the first show I do on Friday. Now, I'm going to Houston this weekend, so I'm only planning on doing one show on Friday, one Saturday, one Sunday. So that show on Friday will probably be around mid-morning, early afternoon. So that's when Allen's matchup against Jets Johnny will actually be. Sam with a super chat. Is Malachi a significant part of the offense next season? I don't know how I can answer this. I have no idea. I mean, you would hope. The guy was a third-round pick. He was the first pick of the third round, but he couldn't get on the field for this previous regime. I have no idea what Tanner Engstrand and his staff feel about him. I hope there's talent there. We watched it in college. He was the Yak King for a reason. But I don't think you could count on Malachi Corley for anything right now. Fennec says, will Olu be ready for camp? He should be, yeah. He should be ready for the full offseason. Greg says, how do we restore Joe B's faith in the Jets or restore the passion? The passion from Joe is still there. He's as passionate as ever. I don't blame him. He's just sick of the losing, man. He's not going to give them any benefit of the doubt. He's upset with everybody. I get it. Like, how could you not be? I get it. I really do. When you live and die the way Joe has with this team, it's hard. The only way to restore the passion that you're talking about, or the faith, you mean, you got to win games, man. This team hasn't won more than 7 games in 10 years. You know how pathetic that is? We rave about the Jets 2022 draft class. The 4 other teams that were in the top 5 that year all have been to the playoffs and won playoff games since then. Jacksonville won a playoff game. Detroit won a playoff game. The Giants won a playoff game. Houston won a playoff game. Some of these teams have won multiple playoff games since then. And that was the top 5. And the Jets haven't sniffed the playoffs. Haven't sniffed it. The only thing we're sniffing is a 4-win season coming up. I mean, it's brutal. I mean, think about that draft, right? Lions. Jaguars at the first pick. They took Trevon Walker. Hutchinson went 2nd. Stingley went 3rd. Sauce went 4. And Kayvon went 5. Those 4 other teams all have won playoff games. Just brutal. Kyle says, just give Corley a gadget package and a limited route tree as a slot. Corley could be part of the solution, and if he's vastly improved, then it's a real indictment on Salah. I mean, can Corley be the kickoff returner? Like, watch his college tape, folks. And with the new kickoff rules that we saw this year, it's basically like a long running play, the way the blocking is set up and what you can and can't do. Malachi Corley should be the kickoff returner. It's better than Xavier Gibson. I'd at least try it. I don't know. All right, I'm going to check Twitter one last time here, see if there's anything we got. It's actually been a decent stream today. We've gotten some news, some signings. Jets Jesus is on the line. He'll bless us on the way out. Hello, Jets Jesus.
I hope so. Been liking the depth signings that have been happening, and I like the options it gives us at O-line. Fun stuff, fun conversations to go predict the future and imagine how things are going to play out. I like that it does give them options in camp, though, to do the real version of what we're playing around with.
Yeah, the O-line thing is interesting to me because maybe they are open to AVT at tackle, but honestly, that's also going to depend on the. That's honestly going to depend on the draft too, because if they take one of these tackles, then there's your answer.
Yeah, and and then the other guy getting brought in from the Packers at center's wild to think that Tittman wouldn't play center, but I mean, who knows? And I like what whoever it was in the chat that you were talking about with Corley, because it was a thought that I had too. When they got him on the field, they were, handing the ball off to him to see what he could do. Obviously, he needs to hang on to it going into the end zone.
Yep.
But that opens up that, our RPO option stuff. Having him as somebody that you can either hand it to or toss it out to is a nice option to just add some confusion there with having him on the field. So that's good. Hopefully they can get him going. And the same, a little bit the same with Gibson. Maybe we could see him contribute a little bit more and be able to do a little bit more there. I don't know. It's all positive. It's all positive thinking, which is what Sheen had called in and was struggling with.
Yeah, I like it. Look, Corley's talented, man. Like, you would hope they'd be able to find some role for him. Like, I think Kyle Clifton nailed it. Like, just as a gadget guy, like the guy's like that, and that's been such a problem with this franchise, man. The front office and the coaching staff not having a clear plan for guys they take. Like, they made this such a big deal over drafting Corley and Malachi Corley, no matter what. And the Jets are tweeting out the clip of Douglas and Salah pumped when they got him draft night. And they couldn't find any role for the guy. And it's just, I hate them. I hate the Jets. I want to win games. I'm sick of it. Hopefully this new regime's better.
Oh, and that's a nice lead into, I want to give you a compliment on, you made the statement, and I don't remember exactly when, where you were like, and it was part of the narrative, which is an accurate narrative of how much the Jets fans lost hope, and it's going to be tough to come back from. And you've kept a low ceiling of being able to like get super excited about stuff, and I think that's reasonable. It's actually been pretty cool to see because it's led to like some I don't know. I've enjoyed that cap of like, you know, I have a tendency to get really positive about some things. I'm like, okay, awesome. This could go really well here. And I that had also been something that I think you were very receptive to. And since making that statement, I think it was a real accurate prediction by you. And I like the tone that it's set for the off season, because even for me, it's kept me grounded a little bit because at times I need it. And I think it's a pretty good thing because I do get, you know, hey, everything's new. I get hopeful again. You know, maybe this new regime will actually know what to do with their players and have a plan for them, like exactly what you've been talking about. And it won't be like, oh yeah, we got this guy, which he needs to know the entire playbook before we can get him on the field. It's like, I don't want to hear that crap anymore. Like, hey, we got a thing or two we can do with him. Like, you know, I won't give examples, but what, you know, from other teams that are able to get their players on the field for simple routes and simple plays. And it's like, oh, they got the rookie on the field. He's able to do a little something. Now you build his confidence and he can, you know, get deeper in the playbook, and you can use it, you know, now at the second half of the season, things are opened up with that rookie, and you're not going like, oh, maybe we'll get a chance to get him on the field now that we don't have a chance to make in the playoffs. It's like, no, that's not how you do things.
Yeah, great call. It's just they got to have a real plan with the players they had, and too often it felt like they didn't. So hopefully that changes now. I mean, we don't know. Like if you want to be positive about the Jets, Aaron Glenn might be awesome. Darren Muji might be awesome. We don't know yet. It's just tough to be excited with two first-timers doing this when it felt like they really needed to go the experience route, and they did the total opposite of that. So we'll find out.
Yeah, and then hopefully we'll be able to see them, right? Like one of the this was I forget when this came up. I was actually met a guy who I thought was a Jets fan at the gym today because he was I've seen him around in a Jets shirt, but haven't got a chance to say what's up to him. And then his buddy's an ex-Jet, so then he was like, "No, I got this when I was at the facility during the off season. I went in to work out with him, and I was like, oh, that's cool." It's slipping my mind which Jet it is, but I'll let you know who it is. He's on Kansas City now.
Cool.
And
it's probably Mike Purnell if it's a
it is
former
Mike
Jet.
Purnell. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It is Mike Purnell. And so I was like, hey, tell him, tell him I'm sure plenty of other Jets fans have been cheering for him since he left the team. Just, I don't know. It's always good to see the guys, the players from the team that are positive dudes on the team be able to go have have successful careers elsewhere.
Yeah, 100%. I'll be like, if CJ Mosley signs elsewhere, like I'm a fan of CJ Mosley for life. Like I hope that guy's awesome.
Yeah. Him and I also talked about Demario Davis because that was, he was talking about guys that he got to meet while he was in the locker room, and I was like, that guy's an amazing. I mean, you follow him on social media. He's an amazing human.
Demario Davis is awesome. Yeah, great dude.
Yeah. And I'm sure you know better than me because I'm sure you've either met him or at least been around him. So yeah, for me, I just know from social media stuff and other things like that.
I appreciate it, Jet Jesus. Great call, man. You got to call more.
Hey, I'm trying to keep it pretty regular for you. I sneak out quite a few days of the week and go snowboarding. It's part of the fun of living in Colorado. But I've been trying to make it more regular.
I love it. Well, you do a great job, man. Appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, buddy. Maybe I'll give her a call from the mountain.
Oh, that'd be great. Jet Jesus checking in from the mountain. Jesus, when you're up there and you speak to the football gods, please ask him to bless our Jets. We have suffered long enough. We have paid our dues. Jared says, hey, Jake, Jericho country jersey in the next raffle. Would love that. Interesting. I love Jayco, one of my favorite Jets ever. I will see if I could buy some signed Jericho country items. One of the themes I'm going to do in a future raffle is great Jet wide receivers. Because you can say whatever you want about the Jets as a whole. We know the franchise has been bad for a lot of its history. But the Jets have had some great wide receivers in their history. Don Maynard, Al Toon, Brandon Marshall, Corbett, Keyshawn, Garrett Wilson, Eric Decker, Wesley Walker, Santana Moss, Lavernius Coles, Braylon Edwards, Holmes. They've had some really good receivers. So I'm thinking that'd be a fun raffle theme. About a lot of those guys, by the way, have been on the show, which is pretty cool. I've interviewed a lot of the Jets. Great receivers in their history. Someone wrote Devin Smith. Stephen Hill, Devin Smith, Alan Lazard. Yep, sure. Malachi Corley, Elijah Moore. Let's just keep going, man. We'll love all of them. Love them all. Eric says, Dre gave his heart for this show. How y'all voting for Mikey? Well, the answer is because Mikey Midnight is a wagon, folks. And if you've seen a Mikey call, you can't help but love the guy. Dre's a great caller, too. Tough matchup. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we call a show around here. Here's a look at the bracket, just updated. Because here's why we've updated the bracket. It is time to declare a winner in our matchup on today's show. Mikey Midnight, folks, is on to the round of 32. He defeats the 12th seed, Dre. And it's Mikey moving on, 57-42. 846 votes have been cast. How about it? Congrats to Mikey. He's moving on. Dre, a valiant effort. Great call on the show earlier. Take a look at the bracket, folks. Starting to make our way through the top right. We did the chicken soup region. We did the hood region. We're into the butter region. Here's a look at it. Tomorrow on the show, Ricky NY and Dark Knight Steve in the morning. The All-Australian matchup in the afternoon. The Battle Down Under, it's being referred to as. Craig, Sarah. Loser leaves the country match, they're saying. And by default, loser leaves the continent match, they're saying. But first, the 4 seed Ricky, the 13 seed Dark Knight Steve, then the 6 versus 11. And what will be watched all around the world. Should be fun. And then after we get through the butter region, we wrap up the opening round. The opening 64, round of 64, I should say, with the lane train region. And then we're on to the round of 32, which should be absolutely electric. That's a show. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. Thank you to Nick Faria who joined me at the top. We had a bunch of Jet signings during the show. So, made it interesting. We'll be back tomorrow to Thursday, which means Matt O'Leary joins me in his weekly spot on the show. He'll join me at 10 a.m. So we'll start it off with Matt. Maybe the Jets make a few more signings tonight. If they make anything that I deem notable, I'll come back tonight and do another show. But that's only if they do something that's like significant, not, what was the lineman's name they signed? Not Rashad Weaver to a 1-year deal. I'm not doing a show for that. Anyway, thank you to everyone who watched. Appreciate it. If you want 10 raffle entries before our next raffle, join the Patreon for the year. Not only do you save 15%, but you get all the perks like Discord access, 20% off all merch items, your name added to the intro, bonus shows, which I'm about to post one right now. You get those every month, including the one I'm about to post. So join the Patreon if you haven't, patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Thank you all. Whether we agree or disagree, we're all Jet fans here, or most of us are Jet fans here. Hopefully one day they don't suck. That'd be awesome. Again, thank you. My name is Jake Asman. This has been the Jake Asman Show. Jets. Jets, Jets, Jets.
Vote for Neil. Of course you can, because he's a great grandfather and he loves his children's children. And cigars. And of course, ugly sweaters. And he drives his friends to Jets games and has hot women all around him. Who the heck is that hot chick? And a beautiful, cute dog, of course. Here he is with some Jets players. I think this guy helped Aaron Rodgers end his season. And I don't know, is that Curtis Martin? Wow. Neil loves dogs, so vote for him.
Nate writes in, who spits on the mics the most during your time at WFAN?
Oh my! What kind of question is that? I won't get into. I'm gonna leave that. I probably did a number of times.
Is that in the book, the Joe B book one day on your radio and
There'll never
broadcasting
be a
career?
book. There'll never be a book. Never. They'd have to pay me a shitload of money. They'd have to pay me a minimum 6-figure retainer for me to even consider doing a book. Minimum.
It'd be an amazing read, Joe, because your memory is encyclopedic. Like, you could talk about stories growing up in the 60s. Like, the story you told on this show about going to the Jets-Chiefs playoff game in 1969 is like the details you remember from that. It's astonishing.
Yeah. No, I'll never forget that game. That was kind of the beginning of the end. And it's like, 55 years ago now. Are you kidding? Oh, that game was, man, I'll tell you. I told you the story. I'm begging my mother, this guy in my class, because the game was blacked out. You couldn't see it in New York, right? This was the days of the blackout. What a joke that was, okay? So I'm begging my mother, I got to see this game. And my team's in the playoffs. I got to see it, right? It was a Saturday afternoon game, too. And my mother came through. There was a guy in my class. I was a junior in high school, and he was selling his tickets. And my mother came. I said, "Look, I don't have to have anything else for Christmas. This is what I want." Bought the tickets. I think they were about $20 a piece. Could you imagine that? Had seats down in the end zone below. It was brutal. He called. Let me tell you, it was brutal, windy, cold, and Namath had a terrible game. 14 for 40 that day. He threw 3 interceptions. They had a first. They were down 6-3. They had a first and goal on the 1-yard line, and they couldn't put it in. They wound up kicking a field goal, right? And this Chief team, by the way, was one of the great defensive teams of all time. They had 6 Hall of Famers on the defense. And then I'll never forget watching the biggest play of the game. After they stop us on the goal line, Len Dawson hits the great Otis Taylor, who should be in the Hall of Fame, for about a 50-yard pass right down the middle. And then 2 plays later, I believe it was Gloucester Richardson catches what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown pass. We're down 13-6. We're getting the ball back late in the game, about a minute something to go. We're getting a good field position as they punt to us. And we had this guy, Mike Battle, who had a big punt return for a touchdown in that exhibition game against the Giants. When we played the Giants after we won the Super Bowl and we beat them, it was like a regular season game. We had to win for a preseason game. Killed them 37-14. Battle had an interception return and a touchdown for a touchdown in that game. He fumbles this punt, and Kansas City recovers it, and the game was over. And I'll never forget, man. You talk about being bummed out. But little did I know, this was only the beginning of me being bummed out. Who knew? Like, this was like a good thing. We actually lost the divisional playoff game. What? Come on. So
then what? You got on the subway and then
got in the
tell that
subway,
part. Yeah.
Right? And I never forget, some guy was drunk, and he was on the subway next to us, and he goes, he doesn't remember anything about the game, and he says, "Did we win?" And the guy says, "You don't want to know." I remember the guy was like sober that was with him, like, "You don't want to know." I'll never forget that.
That's why you could write a book, Joe. These stories are it's from 1969. You told it like it happened 2 days ago.
Oh man, I'll never forget that. And then let me tell you this story too. On the same day, I get home that night. It's a Saturday, and I got a phone call at home. Remember, I'm a junior in high school, so my testosterone level is through the roof, and I'm all like, I'm all like bummed out. The Jets just. I get a phone call from this girl who wanted to go out with me, who I wanted no part of, and I remember that night. And I had to be like nice about it. I mean, I didn't want to see this girl, and I didn't, by the way. I just want you to know. So I made a few mistakes like that. Did I ever tell you while we're rolling here, we're telling Beningo's life story here? Almost time. I've been on here for an hour. I got to go to ShopRite in a minute and shopping. But let me just tell you this. So I was a freshman in college, right? And I used to go to this place called the Marshmallow up here in New City, New York, to go. I could still dance. I still, as you know, I still got.
You still got it.
Yeah. Still got Travolta-esque moves. So anyway, we used to go dancing every Friday and Saturday night. This is in the summer after I was home from college. And this girl, we met her at this place at the Marshmallow. Nice girl, Italian girl, nice, not bad, but not great look. She wasn't great. I really didn't want to, do anything with her. And she has tickets for me to see the Rolling Stones at the Garden. Wait a minute. And this is the heyday. Forget the Rolling Stones now. Everybody's 1,000 years old. Keith and Mick, I don't know how they're still alive. But anyway, this is the heyday. This is like 1972, right?
Wow.
The Stones are at the height of their freaking power. you know. And this girl invites me to go to. She got tickets for the Stones. She wants me to go to the Stone concert with her. And I made. You talk about dumb decisions. I said I didn't go because I wasn't crazy about this girl. And as I look back, 50 plus years ago, whatever the hell it was, it's one of the dumbest decisions I ever made, that I didn't go to that concert and that I didn't, probably have sex with her too. I probably should have done that too, So it was kind of like a double whammy, but anyway, that was, what can I tell you?
1972, the Rolling Stones.
I'll never forget that.
That's a legendary concert. I mean, you'd be
wow. Bro, let me tell you, I so regret, and I've never seen them, right? And I so regret not going to that concert. Oh my God. Serious. Little Victor Cruz dance. Oh, Victor. Woo. Let's do a little salsa, baby. Yeah. Woo.